The movie opens at a somber seaport in China, where a South Korean reconnaissance team finds itself cornered with no way out. The situation is dire, and by the time the smoke clears, 3 unfortunate soldiers have lost their lives in the line of duty. Song-won, a security advisor and counterintelligence operative, arrives to pay his final respects to the caskets of these fallen heroes. This mission wasn't a random skirmish. The team had been meticulously planning and executing it in total secrecy for 6 months, only for it to fall apart at the very last second. Song-won comforts his friend, reminding him that this is the price they must pay. For their ideal of protecting the country, they are willing to stay in the shadows, determined to drag out the rats who are gnawing away at the foundation of the national treasury. Song-won then pulls out a photo to show his friend. The man in the photo is a South Korean ace, but he has been secretly playing both sides with North Korea. A few days prior, a North Korean agent defected, carrying a USB loaded with dark evidence against high-ranking North Korean officials' data involving everything from state secrets to drug smuggling. Crucially, there is a mountain of evidence linking these crimes directly to Old Man Han. The team needs that evidence to take Han down and ensure he faces the ultimate punishment for betraying his country. The problem is, their negotiations hit a dead end. The defector now plans to sell the intel to a Japanese agent named Misako. Their mission is clear. They have exactly 2 days to get to Japan and intercept the deal. If they fail, a massive wave of drugs will flood South Korea, spreading the White Death among the citizens. Song-won already has the perfect candidate for the job. Ho Mi-young, an operative they can trust completely. Known as the Iron Fist, he is the kind of guy who ironically dreams of retiring to become a chef at a Chinese restaurant. However, their secret meeting is caught on camera by one of Han's detectives. Han and Lee meet up and immediately begin plotting their countermove, deciding to deploy their own hitman. Still feeling uneasy, Han leads a group of thugs that night to find Hwang. Wanting a backup plan, Han tosses a file at him, demanding a high-caliber assassin. Hwang's mind immediately jumps to Kong, one of his best subordinates. Over the next few days, both sides kick their preparations into high gear. On Leah's side, they have Bungai, with the team disguising themselves as cleaning staff. On the other side, Song-won Chai is busy briefing Ho Mi-young. He repeatedly warns him that this mission will be incredibly difficult and requires maximum alertness. Ho Mi-young, however, is bone-tired of the killing. He tells himself that, no matter what, this will be his very last mission. That night, a secret agent informs Han that the North Koreans have snatched the evidence back. To cover his tracks, Han cold-bloodedly kills everyone who knew about the situation. Song-won manages to make one last phone call to Ho Mi-young, telling him to run and hide before Song-won's own phone goes dead. Fast forward 10 years later. On a picturesque, peaceful island, Ho Mi-young has finally retired. Feeling like his body isn't quite right, he goes for a checkup, only to be diagnosed with a syndrome caused by declining testosterone levels. The doctor prescribes him some hormone medication. Meanwhile, Jae-soon is also suffering from the ghosts of his past. He has to see a therapist regularly for psychological counseling. One morning, a subordinate named Gongbok visits his old boss, Hwang, in prison. Hwang can't help but comment on how much weight Gongbok has put on. Even though years have passed, they still haven't given up on tracking down the clues to that dark evidence. As for Byum Ryong, he now runs a convenience store, where he is constantly bothered by annoying customers. Jae-soon, having retired from the field, now works as a technician to make a living, with Lee often stepping in to help him out whenever he faces a struggle. Because he is just too kind-hearted, Jae-soon constantly finds himself being bullied by his colleagues. Despite the mistreatment, he always tries his best to endure it and keep his head down. Meanwhile, Ho Mi-young returns from the hospital to his restaurant. Business is slammed, and he is buried in work, but to make matters worse, his wife has sneaked off to go dancing. With no other choice, Ho Mi-young has to rush straight into the kitchen to whip up ramen for the hungry customers. Lately, Kong has been under immense psychological pressure because the old man keeps constantly harassing him. He is starting to get completely sick and tired of this life. Kong is actually jealous of Ho Mi-young, seeing him as someone who has it all: a happy family and a fulfilling career. At this point, Kong just wants to give up on everything. Gongbok knows Kong is in a dark headspace right now, but what can they really do? Their boss is still behind bars. All they can do is hang in there and wait. Once the customers finally leave, Ho Mi-young finally gets a moment to catch his breath. On the TV, a news report shows Old Man Han calling for people to vote. Ho Mi-young absolutely loathes the guy. Seeing such a villain masquerade as a saint is an eyesore he can't stand. After snapping the TV off, Ho Mi-young starts venting about Han. To the public, Han looks like a patriot who has done so much for the country. But in the shadows, he is actually the biggest parasite, sucking the lifeblood out of the people. His father-in-law then shows up, pressuring Ho Mi-young to go collect some bad debts. On his way there, Ho Mi-young passes groups of protesters calling for a boycott of gambling. His destination is the Paradise Casino. The atmosphere there is cutthroat, a place of all-in bets. It's a place of magnificent contrasts. Glory for the winners, but only tears for the losers. Ho-myung heads upstairs and enters a secret transaction room. He demands they pay back the 578,000 won they owe him. However, the thugs there just want a free ride and keep stalling, refusing to pay. Ho-myung is fuming, but he manages to keep his cool. He holds back his temper while serving the food, but doesn't he leave without a warning. If they don't pay up next time, he'll definitely show them what he's made of. The next morning, prosecutor Young Ae and her colleagues head out to solve a case. Today's scene is an apparent suicide. Young Ae is a total pro, scouring every inch of the room for clues. Nearby, a chubby guy and his crew are live streaming a dance session, but they're being so loud that the neighbor, an older lady, gets annoyed. She tries to give them a gentle reminder, but the guy won't listen. So, the lady just loses it and starts swinging at him. After the chubby guy reports the assault, Young Ae and her team show up at the house to take statements. As they say, every cloud has a silver lining. The footage of the lady fighting was broadcast live, which accidentally helped boost his social media account. Over at the convenience store, Byum Ryong is counting down the minutes until his goddess comes in to buy a lunchbox. He always goes out of his way to prepare the specific meals that the female officer likes. Meanwhile, Kong skips his shift at the convenience store. His only source of joy these days is sitting back and watching Ho-myung through surveillance cameras. That evening, Ho-myung has dinner at home with his family. For adults are eating, but the child refuses to sit at the table. Ho-myung wants to speak up, but he is immediately shut down by his wife's scolding. Just a single cough from her is enough to terrify him. His wife then finds out that the Paradise Casino stiffed them on the food bill. She loses it, blowing up at her own father in a rage. Being terrified of his daughter, the father-in-law quickly shifts all the blame onto Ho-myung. The kid is already used to the adults in the house constantly fighting. Eventually, Ho-myung has to run out to take out the trash just to escape his wife's wrath. He drives away with tears in his eyes, heading to his secret hideout to wallow in his pain and loneliness. That same night, Young Ae sneaks back to the crime scene. She notices drag marks on the floor. Searching the walls, she discovers a clue leading to a hidden door. Inside is a room filled with a mountain of documents. It's someone's secret base. It contains extensive records of old man Han's dirty deeds over the years. Meanwhile, in the middle of the night, Ho-myung is jolted awake, haunted by a terrifying nightmare from his past. Meanwhile, Jae-soon is desperately trying to follow his doctor's bizarre advice. In hopes of triggering his forgotten memories, he has actually resorted to wearing women's clothing. When Namael arrives home, he is absolutely terrified and pale-faced by the perverted sight of Jae-soon. Turns out Namael had a rough day, losing a massive amount of money at the Paradise Casino. To make matters worse, Jae-soon discovers that his brat of a nephew actually had the audacity to mortgage their house papers to cover his gambling debts. The next morning, Ho-myung goes to meet his former superior, Song-won. Believe it or not, the high-ranking official is now making a living as a street ice cream vendor. Thanks to the viral video from the chubby streamer, they managed to track down the identity of the neighbor lady. Turns out she was the legendary operative known as Black. However, the moment her location was compromised, she was found dead. The authorities labeled it a suicide, but Ho-myung isn't buying it for a second. He knows this was old man Han's handiwork. Ho-myung wants to strike back immediately, but Song-won warns him that the timing isn't right yet. Because of his hormonal condition, Ho-myung's mental state is incredibly fragile. He is prone to crying and constantly feels like the entire world owes him something. He is desperate to speed things up before his illness completely drains his strength. His mission is interrupted when his wife orders him to pick up their son. At the school, Ho-myung notices the longing in his son's eyes as he watches his classmates. The boy, being wise beyond his years, knows his parents are struggling for money, so he chooses not to attend the specialized school to save them the burden. He hands Ho-myung his favorite superhero mask, telling his dad that he wants him to be truly strong. But surveillance isn't enough for Kong anymore. Today, he shows up at Ho-myung's restaurant in person. When Ho-myung gets home, he immediately pulls his wife aside for a serious talk. He insists on sending their son to the specialized school like the other kids, but his wife shuts him down, saying they simply don't have the extra cash and their son just has to deal with the disadvantage. Just then, he receives a delivery order from the Paradise Casino. Back at the restaurant, everyone starts passing the buck, arguing over who has the guts to go back to the Paradise Casino to collect their unpaid debts. This time, Ho-myung refuses to be the cowardly turtle hiding in his shell. He roars at them, declaring that he will do it. He is determined to bring that money back and give his son the life he deserves. In that moment, Kong catches a glimpse of the sharp, lethal look in Ho-myung's eyes, a side of him that had been buried deep for 10 long years. That night, Jae-soon also heads to the Paradise Casino to hunt down his nephew. The kid had pawned the house papers, bragging that he was going to hit a big one and build Jae-soon a mansion. Jae-soon finds the secret room to reclaim the documents, but the thugs there demand an outrageous price. The original debt of 3.6 million won has ballooned to a staggering 7.2 million won due to interest. When Jae-soon tries to take the papers back, the thugs accuse him of disturbing the peace. They beat him so brutally that he loses consciousness. Meanwhile, Ho-myung drives toward the casino, with Kong secretly tailing him. But here's the twist. After Jae-soon's head slams against the edge of a chair during the beating, his memories suddenly come flooding back. Reawakened, he starts using his legendary fists to dismantle the mobsters. Outside, the nephew isn't just standing around filming the whole fight. At this point, the story flashes back 10 years. We see Jae-soon disguised as a woman posing as black. He cold-bloodedly takes out a Japanese agent. After securing a USB drive filled with evidence and a massive handful of diamonds, he excitedly heads out with his spoils. As Jae-soon is trudging through the rain, Ho-myung ambushes him from behind. Ho-myung had heard of Jae-soon's reputation for a long time but was shocked to find out he was a woman. Just then, another group arrives and discovers the dead Japanese agent. While Ho-myung and Jae-soon are locked in a struggle, Jae-soon uses a sudden flash of lightning to distract Ho-myung and launch a counterattack. An all-out brawl erupts. Jae-soon lands a heavy punch that leaves Ho-myung with a bloody nose. When martial arts aren't enough, the two start an awkward clinch fight together. Ho-myung even mocks Jae-soon, calling him a failed transgender product. They dive back into the fight, but a man in black sees his chance and tries to snatch the bag of loot. Seeing someone else trying to steal the fruits of his labor, Ho-myung gives chase. He lunges forward, and a three-way struggle begins, with no one willing to back down. In the end, Jae-soon gets lucky and grabs the advantage. He throws on the backpack and tries to make a run for it, but it's not that easy. He gets shoved toward the edge of the boat. Luckily, he catches the railing just in time, narrowly avoiding a fall into the dark sea below. Ho-myung delivers a brutal knee to the man in black, knocking him out cold. He immediately rushes over to pull Jae-soon up to safety, but in a cruel twist of fate, the strap of the bag suddenly snaps. Despite Ho-myung's desperate struggle, he has to watch helplessly as Jae-soon and the bag of crucial evidence plunge into the dark sea. Fast forward to the present, and Ho-myung is ecstatic to have finally tracked Jae-soon down. But just as he is about to rush over and check on him, he is grabbed by a mob of thugs. In the middle of the chaos, the nephew Namael manages to snatch back their house papers and drags his uncle Jae-soon away to escape. Once again, Ho-myung is left standing there, watching Jae-soon slip through his fingers. Meanwhile, young Ae and her colleagues have their hands full, closely tailing the case of the mysterious woman known as Black. Based on a clue from a handgun, she is convinced that this is a high-level, serious political conspiracy. The more difficult the case gets, the more driven she becomes to solve it. Later, the chief prosecutor hauls young Ae into his office and gives her a massive dressing down for investigating the scene without authorization and messing up the clues. But young Ae is a pro. She squeezes out a few crocodile tears, easily manipulating her boss to get away with it. The moment she steps out of the room, she drops the act and breaks into a smirk. It turns out the chief prosecutor is one of Old Man Han's lackeys, tasked with framing Black's death as a suicide. Soon after, the party leader, Mr. Kim, arrives to meet the chief prosecutor. Lately, protests demanding the closure of the casino have been heating up. The chief prosecutor immediately flips into salesman mode, yapping on and on about how this island will be developed in the future, claiming profits could soar to a staggering 25 trillion won. Hearing those massive numbers, Mr. Kim starts to come around. Knowing Kim is an antique collector, the prosecutor bribes him with an ancient tea set he recently acquired. But that's not enough. The prosecutor also plans to keep Kim on a tight leash by gathering evidence of his secret affairs and tax evasion. At the gangsters' headquarters, the front of the building is used for roughing up debtors who can't pay. But inside is a high-tech drug factory, fully staffed and equipped with professional gear. The boss is riding high after a big payday, but his smile vanishes instantly when he hears that someone trashed his casino. Back at home, Jae-soon finally wakes up, but he has completely blanked on everything that happened tonight. Namael tells him that they've secured the house papers. Together, they discover the casino's sinister plot. They lure people in with predatory loans and seize their land to systematically rob the island's residents of their property. The nephew now treats Jae-soon like an absolute idol, pampering him. Since Jae-soon remembers nothing, Namael rushes to show him the video of how badass he was during the fight. He even starts spreading rumors that his uncle used to be a secret agent with the codename 007. On the other side of town, Ho-myung is on the phone with his old buddy, reporting that he has found Jae-soon. He even managed to memorize the tail end of their license plate. Meanwhile, when the gang boss arrives at the casino and sees it in total ruins, he goes ballistic and beats his subordinates to a pulp. Since their business is illegal, their security cameras were mostly just for show. making it nearly impossible to pull any footage. The boss orders his men to bury this incident whatever they do. The chairman and Old Man Han must not find out. Then, he demands his henchmen find the identity of the troublemaker immediately. That night, Young A secretly tails her boss. She catches the chief prosecutor parked in a deserted spot, taking a bribe. She records everything on video and asks a friend to run the plates to find the car's owner. Finally, Ho-myung returns to the restaurant, where everyone is waiting on pins and needles. His father-in-law and an old friend had actually placed a bet on him. Since Ho-myung failed to bring back the money, the father-in-law loses a chunk of cash, a tough lesson learned. Ho-myung heads to the restroom to wash his face, but his mind involuntarily drifts back to the past. He remembers the moment his superior called to warn him to run, right before the connection went dead. It turns out that Old Man Han had cornered Song-won at his doorstep. Han tried to intimidate him, demanding the location of the secret evidence. But no matter how hard Han pushed, Song-won refused to break his silence. Just as Han was about to execute him, the police arrived. Thanks to a smoke bomb Song-won had set off, he managed to narrowly escape with his life. The next morning, Young Ae gets a call from her contact. Her friend sounds hesitant as he delivers the news. The owner of the car from the night before is actually the secretary to Old Man Han, the man currently running for mayor of the island. Her friend gives her a fair warning. Drop this case now, it's too dangerous to touch. Meanwhile, while Ho-myung is busy peeling onions, he finally gets the lead. He has been waiting for the owner of the electric bike has been identified. He bolts out of the house, ignoring his wife's screams behind him. Over at the casino, after some painstaking work, the thugs finally pull clear surveillance footage of Jae-soon and his nephew. The casino boss, who has the local police in his back pocket, immediately contacts an officer, demanding they dig up the identities of the two men. After taking a day off to recover, Jae-soon returns to work as if nothing happened. Lee is genuinely worried. In all his time there, Jae-soon has never called out sick unexpectedly. Lee notices the bruises on his face and suspects Jae-soon is in some kind of deep trouble. Just then, their jerk of a boss shows up, pulling his usual power trip and ordering Jae-soon to wash his car. The mean boss tries his old trick again, attempting to throw a ball at Jae-soon's backside. But this time, Jae-soon executes a perfect 180-degree spin kick, sending the ball flying right back at the boss's face, leaving him pale with fear. With a newfound don't care attitude, Jae-soon coolly announces he is taking leave and makes a stylish exit. By the afternoon, Ho-myung follows the address to a school to find Kim, the owner of the motorcycle. He finds the kid busy shaking down other students for protection money. Ho-myung decides to play the hero, teaching the brat a lesson in manners. After a solid beatdown, the kid turns into a good student real quick. Whatever Ho-myung asks, Kim answers. Turns out he had lent his bike to Namael. Meanwhile, at the convenience store, the stress and lack of sleep finally catch up with Byum-ryong, causing his blood pressure to tank. Just as he is about to collapse, his goddess, the female police officer, appears just in time to catch him. Being held by his crush makes Byum-ryong blush like a teenage girl. To show his appreciation, he prepares a special meal of sweet and sour chicken for her. In return, she gives him some blood pressure medication, a little give and take to keep the sparks flying. But just as Byum-ryong is floating on cloud 9, Kong returns unexpectedly, scaring the daylight out of him. The two brothers are like oil and water. They can't go 2 sentences without wanting to throw hands. Their conflicting views eventually lead to a bitter fallout. At the same time, the mob from the casino has finally tracked down the exact addresses of Jae-soon and Ho-myung. They mobilize their crew, heading out for some cold-blooded revenge. Jae-soon has no idea the wolves are at the door because he is too busy bragging to his nephew about his past. He claims that back in the day he was a legendary figure with a reputation. To prove his point, Jae-soon asks his nephew to hit him with a stick to test his combat reflexes. By the time the gangsters arrive, Jae-soon is hopping around like he is in a trance. The thugs are actually hesitant at first, worried he is about to go berserk on them again. But once they see Jae-soon pass out from the self-inflicted hit, they lose all respect. They snatch him up and then head over to find Kong at the convenience store. By the time Ho-myung reaches Jae-soon's house, he is too late. Jae-soon and his nephew had been hauled away by the mob just moments before. Kong, Jae-soon, and the nephew are all taken to the gangsters' main headquarters. The thugs even send a photo to Byum-ryong, taunting him to come collect his brother's corpse. Meanwhile, Young Ae refuses to give up. She uses every connection in her playbook to dig into Old Man Han's history. Through her investigation, she discovers that he was the mastermind behind the conspiracy from 10 years ago. Back at Jae-soon's house, Ho-myung finds crucial clues, women's clothing, and a wig confirming that Jae-soon is indeed the operative who fell into the sea a decade ago. At the headquarters, Kong is being beaten within an inch of his life. Jae-soon isn't faring any better. The mobsters are pummeling him to test his endurance. But unlike last time, his memory hasn't returned. so he is forced to just sit there and take a brutal thrashing. Just as the gangsters decide that Biem Ryong has abandoned his brother and prepare to finish Kong off, Biem Ryong finally walks through the door. Time goes back 15 years ago when Ma was still a gambler. He idolized Ju Yunbal and thought he was a top-tier gambling god himself. After losing everything down to his undies, he was beaten within an inch of his life, and in the end, Kong had to step in to clean up his mess. The tables turn every 15 years, and now history is repeating itself. Kong had retired but couldn't catch a break, having to drag his old bones out to save his troublemaking brother again. True to his reputation as a tough old guy, Kong's moves were still very slick. After a minute or so, he took down the gangsters with ease. But it didn't stop there. If saving a princess were that easy, the princess wouldn't be stuck waiting for a prince to save her. Kong and Ma were surrounded by the gangsters' reinforcements. Bong and his nephew saw the trouble and quickly hauled tail out of there. Surrounded like sardines, Kong could only use every one of his 81 tricks, wanting to clear a bloody path to get his brother out. Meanwhile, Jung was still wandering the streets. He drove his car to the abandoned building and silently sneaked inside. He quickly discovered the brawl. With his scout's eyes, he easily found where Bong's group and Kong's group were hiding. Instead of jumping down to save his buddy, he chose to pull out his phone and record a video as evidence to report the crime. Even though Kong had endless tricks, human strength has its limits. Very quickly, his stamina gave out. After pushing himself to fight the whole crowd, Kong was hit with sticks on his body's weak points. Finally, he collapsed from a blow to a vital spot behind his neck. Seeing Kong down, the gangsters took the chance to jump in and gang up on him. Ma was heartbroken seeing his friend getting beaten so badly. He knelt down and crawled toward the casino boss, begging him to let his brother go. He said he would take any punishment. The gangsters pulled Ma up, wanting to cut his tendons. Kong saw this and panicked. He knelt down and took all the blame. The gangster demanded that Kong bark like a dog. He immediately threw away all his pride and did it. Ma saw this and felt a lot of pain. The two brothers took turns barking like dogs. But such touching brotherly love looked like nothing more than a joke to these gangsters. They still didn't want to let the two of them go. Right then, the police called to inform the casino boss that Jung had anonymously reported the crime and demanded he leave the scene quickly. Thanks to that, Kong and his brother were lucky to survive. Before leaving, the casino boss spitefully gave Kong a kick. After that, the gangsters split up. They dumped Kong and his brother on a deserted overpass. Another group waited for Bong and his nephew in the forest and dumped them there. The gangsters threatened the uncle and nephew, giving them only 3 days to cough up what they had taken from the casino. The casino boss received secret news. He ordered his henchmen to go into hiding with him for a while. After the storm passed, they would lie low and start over. In the evening, Kong and his brother returned to the convenience store. The place was now a total wreck, as if a storm had swept through. The two of them tried to clean up, but their bodies wouldn't let them. Then the policewoman arrived. Ma smartly slipped away to give the couple some space. The policewoman wanted to help Kong catch the person who caused the trouble, but he didn't want her dragged into this mess, so he refused. He lied, saying the store was just trashed by a drunk customer. The policewoman felt bad seeing him hurt. She even thoughtfully helped bandage his wounds. Ma watched the security camera and was secretly happy for his brother. Kong is in his sunset years, but the love bug finally bit him. Ma told himself he would handle the trouble he caused and would definitely not drag Kong into unnecessary problems anymore. Meanwhile, over here, Jung called his old friend to report every single thing that happened tonight. Jung guessed that the appearances of Kong, Bong, and Ma were all very suspicious. He decided to go meet Ma himself and find the root of the truth. Jung took out his gear that had been gathering dust after a long time of not being used. In the evening, when Ms. Kong came home, she saw signs that the door had been tampered with, which set off alarm bells. She pulled out her piece and carefully searched the house, but there was no trace of an intruder. But when she turned on the light, she saw the house had been tossed. Ms. Kong knew someone was targeting her. A bullet hole in a picture frame was like a warning. Things are starting to get interesting. The next morning, Kong just sat there daydreaming about the policewoman. Looking at the business card she gave him, he couldn't help but think about the future and kids. Ma looked at him from a distance to see him more clearly. Today Ma decided to leave. He ran into the old man he usually argued with. He hugged him and said goodbye. It felt like Ma planned for this trip to be a one-way journey. That day, the security director came to find the casino boss to demand compensation. He accused the boss's henchman of beating his people and openly blackmailed him for a huge amount of money, which made the old man furious. But the opponent was too powerful, so he didn't dare touch them and could only suck it up. The security director ordered his men to keep a closer eye on the casino and their business, determined to steal the boss's lucrative deals. The casino boss felt like he was under a bad star lately, having such rotten luck. He took his anger out on his trusted henchman. Ma was secretly watching there. He imagined and planned a bloody revenge where he would stab this old man to death to rid the world of a threat. The thought was nice, but the execution was crap. Before he could even make a move, Ma was taken down with a knockout blow. In the morning, Ms. Kong went to the prison to visit Huang San. She wanted to dig useful information out of him about the case 15 years ago. At the same time, Ms. Kong suggested she would help find a lawyer for him. If he agreed to cooperate with her against Old Han, it would be a win-win for both sides. But Huang San was very tight-lipped. He wouldn't say a word. Ms. Kong used provocative words on him. Only then did Huang San reveal a little. He said he was innocent. The person who killed Officer Choi 15 years ago wasn't him. Ms. Kong left the prison without knowing she was being followed. Then an unknown number called to warn her that a white car was tailing her. The person on the other end guided Ms. Kong to an intersection and promised to help her lose those people. Ms. Kong obediently followed. When she drove to the intersection, a pushcart suddenly rushed out, making the other car unable to react in time. The two people in the car rushed to check on the victim of the accident. Turned out Sung was the one behind it all. He had successfully helped Ms. Kong lose the high-clingy stalkers. The next day, the shareholders came to find Old Han to ask about the project's progress. He comforted everyone, saying that as long as he got the island's mayor elected, the project would definitely proceed quickly. Then Old Han ordered his men to investigate Kim. This man had a personal life as clean as Omo, with no stains to worry about. Old Han wanted to create some drama to bring down this heavy-hitting opponent. Back to Ma. It turned out the person who kidnapped him was Jung. Thanks to this kidnapping, he didn't have to go to jail with his couldn't kill a chicken skills. Who does he think he is, trying to pull off an assassination? The casino boss, that's who. Jung pulled out a truth serum bottle and threatened to stick it right into Ma's neck artery. He warned that this dose would make anyone spill every single secret they have, but if the dose was too high, the victim would drop dead instantly. Ma was scared shitless. In the end, because he was such an amateur and couldn't handle the mental pressure, he spilled the beans completely. He explained that he had been tailing Jung on his boss's orders. 15 years ago, he was also there at the pier. Their boss, Huang San, got played big time by Han. Eventually, their entire group went bankrupt. The crew scattered, and the boss ended up in prison doing hard time. Before being hauled away, the boss gave him and Kong a crucial mission. They had to find a USB containing evidence of Han's illegal activities. That's why the brothers were tailing Jung. They had been following him since back when Jung was still single. Even after he got married and had kids, the two never gave up on the stakeout. Spring turned to summer, fall came, and winter leaves turned yellow. But the USB full of evidence remained nowhere to be found. Ma started crying his eyes out. His life was just too miserable. Not long after joining the gang, it went bust. His boss went to the slammer, and now, after opening a convenience store with his sworn brother, some gangsters came and trashed the place. Jung listened and started judging him. Honestly, he just wanted to laugh in Ma's face. What kind of gangster is such a crybaby? Crying all day long, nothing but tears. Jung took out the video of Ma kneeling to the casino crowd and used it to blackmail him into working for him. If he didn't comply, Jung threatened to leak the video online so Ma would be too embarrassed to show his face to his friends. Ma's mission from now on was to help Jung keep an eye on Bong. Jung even thoughtfully gave him a phone to use as a means of communication. He promised that if Ma didn't listen in the future, he'd give him a real piece of his mind. Meanwhile, Bong was rushing his nephew to pack their things. The two of them wanted to pack up and run away together. Baby, let us run away with me. Where to? To the Silver Sea and Green Mountains. Well, that place turned out to be the warehouse where Bong worked. He said living there was both safe and free. If they were unlucky enough to get caught by the company, the worst that could happen was him getting fired. The next morning, Jung woke up early to help the shop prepare all the cooking ingredients. Then he asked his father-in-law to help watch the shop while he ran off to meet up with Ma. Jung laid out a plan for the two of them for the near future. Ma was responsible for tailing Bong to see if he had really lost his memory or if he was just faking it to pull the wool over everyone's eyes. As for Jung, he would be responsible for watching the gangsters at the casino. He would gather evidence of their crimes. This would be the foundation to help Ma get his revenge later. Both of them discovered that the casino crew was trying to force people into high-interest loans and seizing the debtors' land. They didn't know why Han chose this godforsaken island for his economic project. Jung was fuming because of Ma's terrible scouting skills. All he did was take pictures of Bong eating and hanging out. When Bong was helping his nephew take a bath, Lai caught them. She was speechless seeing that Bong dared to bring his nephew to live at the company. If the grumpy boss found out, he'd definitely give Bong the boot. Finally, unable to resist the pathetic pleading of the uncle and nephew, Lai had to just close her eyes and let it slide. The next morning, the casino boss and his henchmen emptied the safe to go make a deal. Jung saw them carrying big bags of money into an abandoned warehouse. It turned out the casino boss had drained all his capital to buy drugs. He wanted to use this to turn money into more money truly. Getting rich isn't hard. It just matters if you're ballsy enough. Jung told Sung that he had already scouted these casino guys. He was going to take action today while the trail was hot. Sung advised him to wait until the time was ripe to bust the whole nest. But Jung was already fired up. He put on the superhero mask his son gave him and caught the casino boss in the restroom. After a bit of martial arts exchange, the boss became a lot more cooperative. But the casino boss was still stubborn and refused to confess the purpose of collecting land on the island. Even though Jung used every torture move from punching and kicking to breaking fingers, the casino boss's mouth stayed shut. While Jung wasn't paying attention, the boss fought back with a toilet lid and then called his goons for backup. Jung shoved the guy's head into the toilet and asked if he would confess. The boss admitted he'd release himself because he just used the toilet, but as for confessing his crimes, he absolutely refused. Jung looked at the gangsters. Right now, he wasn't afraid of anyone. If they wanted to play, he'd go all out. Jung was surrounded by the gang who wanted to beat him down, but his skills were no joke. But then Jung ran into a heavy hitter. A giant guy wanted to use his size to crush him. The gangsters used all their strength, from hand-to-hand combat to using weapons. Jung fought them all alone without a hint of fear or hesitation. For him, in this moment, he got to be himself, to burn bright and fight, using his life to serve justice. The casino boss tried to crawl away during the chaos, but Jung spotted him. He dragged the old man back. Heaven has a path, but you won't take it. You just keep wanting to crawl into hell. The boss had already managed to call his henchmen. So when Jung ran outside, he saw the boss's guards arriving. Both ends were packed tight like sardines. But Jung wasn't worried at all because he had a backup plan. He pulled out a remote control and pressed the button. An explosion went off, causing a local power outage at the casino. Using that chance, Jung escaped and went back to his secret base. During the fight, he had been wounded in the stomach. Jung gritted his teeth through the pain, trying to treat the wound himself. Jung had been gone all day and hadn't contacted his family, making his wife and everyone worried. To make matters worse, he even forgot to pick up his son, making the 8-year-old boy walk home for 30 minutes. The wife was going crazy with his carelessness. The world out there is so dangerous. How could he just leave his son like that? What on earth was important enough to make him forget his own family? Jung had his own private struggles that he couldn't talk about. He just silently carried all the guilt. Jung remembered how happy he was when he first heard his wife was pregnant with their son. He had bragged about that news to his old friend. In the morning, Chairman Du went to the hospital to visit the casino boss. Visiting the sick was secondary. The main goal was to piss him off. From now on, let us call Chairman Du a professional comedian, because he always makes everyone laugh until they can't close their mouths. The casino boss was very salty because a masked man broke in and trashed his crew. The physical damage was minor, but the mental damage was infinite. He was determined to clear his shame by ordering his henchmen to find the masked man. In the morning, Ms. Kong secretly met her friend again. According to their investigation, Huang San's criminal organization had 3 major members. After the drama 10 years ago caused Huang San to go to jail, the right-hand man, Kong, vanished without a trace. The left-hand man, Ingu, betrayed them and joined Han's side. Currently, Ingu is running Paradise Casino. Chairman Du sent someone to investigate Paradise Casino and found out that Ingu had bought a massive amount of drugs. Wanting to make a huge play, it's either a life of luxury or a total dead end. He ordered his henchmen to keep tailing Ingu and his people. The next day, Kong took his son to buy toys, making up for not picking the boy up yesterday. Kong told his son a secret that only the two of them knew. He said he was a superhero. The times he often went missing were actually when he had to hit the road on missions to take out bad guys. Meanwhile, the gangsters went to Bong's house, but the place was already empty. After that, they found some papers that Bong forgot to clean up. Through those, they found his company's address. The gangsters aggressively headed to the company to find Bong. By chance, Ma, who was silently tailing Bong, saw that scene. The gangsters saw Lai and called her over to ask questions. Knowing they were looking for Bong with bad intentions, Lai purposely pointed them to the second floor to distract them and buy time. Then she hauled tail to find Bong and give him the bad news. Bong was scared out of his wits when he heard the gangsters had arrived. He rushed into the warehouse and woke up his nephew, Namai. The two of them quickly ran to find their motorcycle. Because Namai was so scared, his driving wasn't very smooth. He collided with a nearby car and got stuck. The gangsters surrounded them. Just as they were about to get beaten to a pulp, Namai luckily got his groove back. He revved the engine and sped away, leaving the gangsters behind. The most miserable person was the company boss, as his luxury ride was scratched all over. Today, rain came out of nowhere. Kong was out shopping and ran into the policewoman in the rain. As a rebellious man, Kong couldn't just stand there and watch a beautiful woman get wet. He gave his umbrella to the policewoman. Then he stayed in the rain himself. Seeing Kong was so honest and sweet, The policewoman gave him a perfect 10. She even took the lead and drove him home, then invited him to see a movie together on her next day off. Love came so suddenly that Kong couldn't believe it was real. He even pinched his own face. The pain was enough to make him believe he wasn't daydreaming. At noon, the casino boss was angry because his henchmen were so useless. He gave an ultimatum, forcing them to catch Bong no matter what. In the evening, Chairman Du went to find a henchman under the casino boss named Gum. He took him in his fancy car and drove around the city. Finally, Chairman Du offered a large sum of money to bribe Gum. He just needed him to sell out the casino boss and reveal the evil things he was doing. In the end, when faced with money, loyalty meant nothing. Gum's cooperation made Chairman Du very happy. He even gave him the fancy car as a reward. Meanwhile, at a small bar, Han went to find Kim. This man was one of his heavy-hitting rivals in the upcoming mayoral election. Han brought out a stack of documents about his future island project, half advising and half threatening Kim to drop out of the race. But Kim was very tough. He wanted to become mayor to start a charity for orphans, build more schools, and take care of the young generation, the future of the country. Seeing he couldn't convince Kim, Han threw a stack of money and left angrily. Lately, Ms. Kong kept investigating Han despite many malicious warnings or sincere advice from Sung. Meanwhile, Kong went to the prison to visit his boss, Huang San. The boss ordered him to find Ms. Kong to cooperate, wanting to use her as a stepping stone to destroy the traitor Ingu. Meanwhile, Sung was still following and silently protecting Ms. Kong. When he saw her about to enter the casino, he couldn't help but call to warn her it was dangerous inside. But Ms. Kong was stubborn. She didn't want to listen and just did what she wanted. Lately, Bong and his nephew had to live in hiding at a public bathhouse. Kind-hearted Lai was the one providing supplies and helping them out. Today Lai came to bring stuff and break the bad news. The jerk boss had fired him and stiffed him on all his wages. Ms. Kong was fearless. She charged straight into the casino. Even without a search warrant or papers, she demanded the casino boss cooperate with her investigation. Ms. Kong asked him a million questions, from the 10-year-old case of Officer Choi's death to the North Korean spy case and his relationship with Han. Ingu only gave half-hearted answers. Ms. Kong got nothing and could only tuck her tail and leave. After she left, Ingu ordered his men to tail her closely. Then Gum also sold information about Ms. Kong's conversation today to Chairman Du. Because he received a huge benefit, he worked very hard. Even though he already knew the situation, when the casino boss came to find him, Chairman Du played dumb. He lied and said Ms. Kong was also investigating him. He acted confused and lost his cool. After some back and forth, Chairman Du finally threatened to report the matter to Han, making the casino boss's heart skip a beat. He begged Chairman Du for a chance. He promised to take care of Ms. Kong very carefully so she would shut her mouth forever. If Han found out about today, he would definitely be dead. Chairman Du acted generous and gave him a chance, which meant the casino boss owed him a big favor. With his son acting as a strategist, Jung decided to invite his wife to a movie. For their wedding anniversary, his wife wore a beautiful pink dress today. She looked stunning. Jung was truly the luckiest guy in the solar system. Meanwhile, the policewoman arrived at the meeting spot but waited and waited, and Kong didn't show up. Actually, Kong was hiding in a nearby coffee shop. He didn't dare to accept this love, because the two of them belonged to two different worlds. The dark and light sides aren't meant to be on the same path. The two of them were meant to be two parallel lines with no hope. After some mental struggle, Kong finally decided to pick up the phone and call Ms. Kong. He said he could provide all the evidence about the pier case from 10 years ago. In the evening, Sung disguised himself as a gambler and went to the casino wanting to borrow 50,000. Gum saw that, thought it was too little and kicked him out. Sung managed to leave a pen with a tracking device at the casino. Thanks to that, he discovered a plot to kill Ms. Kong to silence her. These casino guys were backed into a corner and would do anything. Sung called Ms. Kong to warn her, but she didn't pick up. She headed to a hillside cafe. Sung called Jung for backup, but he was busy at the movies with his wife and didn't answer. Sung had to go by himself, but a protest had caused a traffic jam. Sung rushed to find a taxi but was accidentally hit by a car going the wrong way. At the movie theater, Jung was happily taking photos of his son. He received another call from Sung. Sung struggled through the pain to call for help. He begged Jung to go to the cafe and save Ms. Kong, or she would die. Jung was torn. If he left in the middle of everything again, his wife would be fuming. But saving a life couldn't wait. Finally, with his son's help, he managed to leave. But when Jung got to the cafe, it was too late. The owner told him that some thug had already dragged Ms. Kong away. Just as Jung was about to run out and find her, he came face to face with Kong right at the door. The story flashes back to a short while ago. Young Ae is sitting in a cafe, waiting to meet Byum Ryong. Suddenly, she realizes she is being surrounded by a gang of thugs, led by the casino boss. They want to take Young Ae alive, but she isn't going down that easily. She creates a distraction and splashes a cup of burning hot coffee right into their faces. Without wasting a second, she uses that same green cup to smash the face of the nearest thug before bolting out of the cafe and speeding away in her car. Meanwhile, Song-won desperately calls Ho-myung for help. He pleads with him to get to the cafe and rescue Young Ae immediately. He knows that if Ho-myung is even a second late, she is as good as dead, and their only lead in the investigation will be severed forever. Back on the road, Young Ae is driving at breakneck speeds, trying everything to shake the thugs. But these guys are like hungry leeches, they won't let go that easily. They tail her relentlessly, ramming the back of her car over and over. The pressure starts to get to her. Throughout the high-speed chase, she is constantly being pinned down with no way out. In a split-second mistake, Young Ae loses control of the wheel and her car is T-boned by the thugs. The massive force of the impact flips her car right over the highway barrier. Gravity takes over as the vehicle plunges into the abyss at high speed before crashing into the sea below. Young Ae, having taken the brunt of the impact, had already been knocked unconscious long before. Even In-gu's men, witnessing the horrific accident they just caused, are left stunned and shaken. After all, a human life was just lost, a life they directly snuffed out. Returning to the present, Ho-myung arrives at the cafe, but Young Ae is nowhere to be found. Byum-ryong shows up shortly after, and the two men just stand there, staring each other down. Both are going through an intense internal struggle. They are special cases who don't want to cause a scene or draw any unwanted attention. They remain wary of each other, as if either one could snap and attack at any moment. Ho-myung decides to leave first, unwilling to waste any more time. He has a critical mission: find Young Ae and save her. Byum-ryong follows and hitches a ride, casually sitting in Ho-myung's passenger seat. No matter how much Ho-myung tries to kick him out, this guy refuses to budge. Byum-ryong claims he is actually useful. He is the only one who can pinpoint Young Ae's location. To prove it, Byum-ryong quickly calls his subordinate, ordering him to hack into the traffic cameras to track her route. In another part of town, Lee is leading Jae-soon and his nephew into hiding. The path they take is incredibly desolate, filled with dilapidated, run-down apartment complexes. Namael, having watched way too many detective movies, starts getting paranoid. He suspects that Lee belongs to some shady organization that kidnaps people for organ harvesting. Jae-soon has to comfort the kid several times, literally dragging him along. Poor Lee, she is trying to do a good deed and getting treated like a criminal. She leads them into an apartment building that looks like a total wreck. Namael is too terrified to even step inside, already imagining 100 different horror scenarios in his head. Jae-soon starts to feel his nephew's negative vibes, but since they're at a dead end, he has no choice but to stomach his fear and trust Lee. On the second floor, they find a group of people gathered together, eating and having a good time. To them, it looks like a refugee camp straight out of an apocalypse movie. Lee introduces them to the boss of the building, Park, who provides shelter for the homeless. These people are all victims who were scammed out of their homes and land by the casino. Park says he'll let them stay as a favor to Lee, on one condition: the uncle and nephew must help everyone with housework and repairs around the building. Jae-soon has no problem with the deal, but Namael throws a fit. He thinks Park is just trying to exploit them like slaves. At one point, Namael even compares the place to a trash dump, which is the final straw for Park. Offended by the insult, Park isn't holding back his anger anymore. Park straight up kicks them both out of his house. He has had enough, declaring that a kid like Namael doesn't deserve a shred of his help or protection. Jae-soon is mortified. Seeing how out of line his nephew is, he steps in to scold him, trying to make the kid see reason. But Namael's head is filled with nothing but gambling. There is no way he can grasp these complex life lessons right now. With Namael constantly poking the bear and Jae-soon losing face, all Jae-soon can do is keep apologizing. He promises Park and Lee that he'll teach the boy a lesson, then says his goodbyes and heads out. Once Namael is gone, Park finally feels a little more at ease. Meanwhile, Ho-myung and Byum-ryong are driving around in a desperate, vain search. By pure chance, they stumble upon an accident scene. When they spot one of In-gu's henchmen lingering there, their hearts sink. They know deep down that things look incredibly grim for Young Ae and her car. Suddenly, Ho-myung pulls a U-turn and speeds off, leaving a confused Byum-ryong stranded on the side of the road. Ho-myung immediately reports the situation to Song-won. He is devastated, feeling that even though he gave it his all, he was still too late. With Young Ae's fate unknown, Ho-myung wants to stay and dig deeper, but Song-won urges him to go home. He warns Ho-myung that while the investigation will take a few days to yield results, if he doesn't go back and comfort his wife right now, his marriage is going to hit rock bottom. The scene shifts to Jae-soon chasing after Namael, trying to offer some words of wisdom, but Namael snaps. He draws a hard line in the sand, telling Jae-soon that he's just an outsider with no right to interfere in his life or touch the house papers. Jae-soon is left speechless, stung by the harsh words of the nephew he loves so much. He doesn't care about money or land. His only goal is to repay the debt of gratitude he owes to Namael's grandfather. Years ago, that old man saved his life and took him in. He gave Jae-soon a roof over his head and a family to love. Jae-soon wants to spend the rest of his life protecting Namael to honor the man who saved him. He remembers how adorable Namael was as a child, always following him around like a little shadow. Just as Jae-soon is about to head back, he spots Young-ae's body washed ashore by the waves. He rushes over, performing emergency first aid and mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to bring her back to life. When Jae-soon tries to call for help, Young-ae stops him. She repeatedly begs him not to tell a soul that she is alive. That evening, having been stood up by her husband, Young's wife meets up with Park, Lee, and the female officer. Park's anger has faded, replaced by guilt for kicking Jae-soon out. He realizes that a man with no home, no job, and nowhere to go has a very dark road ahead of him. At 2 a.m., Lee is frantically calling Jae-soon, but he isn't picking up. Then, out of nowhere, he appears with a battered Young-ae on his back. When the group finds her official badge, they realize exactly who she is. They suspect this accident was actually a cold-blooded attempted murder to silence a witness. Park agrees to let Jae-soon stay so he can nurse Young-ae back to health, and they all agree to wait until she wakes up to get the full story. Back at home, Young finds the house empty. He waits by the door until his wife finally returns safely. They sit down over drinks, but the tension is thick. His wife flat out accuses him of having an affair, believing that's why he has grown so cold toward the family. She has given him countless chances to make things right, but he has made too many promises and broken every single one. Finally, she drops the bombshell. She wants a legal separation so he can live the free and unburdened life he seemingly wants. Meanwhile, Byung returns to the convenience store in a foul mood. He angrily confronts Gongbok, suspecting the guy is secretly spying on Young. Gongbok is terrified of being caught but tries to keep a straight face and deny everything. Just then, the boss calls from prison to ask about the partnership with Young-ae. Byung lies through his teeth, claiming the cooperation is going great and that Young-ae promised to help secure his early release. For now, he just needs to keep the boss calm and deal with the fallout later. Byung doesn't want his boss to fall into a pit of disappointment. He checks his phone and sees a message from the female officer, Mikyung. Even though he stood her up, she had patiently waited for him until the very moment the movie theater closed. Reading this, Byung breaks down in tears of regret. He feels like he has betrayed her sincere feelings. As he recalls their brief but precious memories together, the tears just won't stop. Mikyung had gently found a way into his heart, making him experience the kind of passionate, head-over-heels love you only feel for the first time. Meanwhile, Young has been kicked out of the house by his wife. With no other choice, he grabs his suitcase and heads to his old friend Songwon's place. Young is practically fuming at his friend's lack of ambition. He nags Songwon, pointing out that he has been on this island for 10 years without a single romantic prospect. He tells him he needs to hurry up, find a wife, and have a son, or else he'll be facing a lifetime of crushing loneliness. Young's mind then drifts back to when he first arrived on the island. He had searched everywhere for any trace of Jae-soon, but came up empty-handed. In a stroke of genius, he applied for a delivery job at a Chinese restaurant owned by his future father-in-law. Initially, the old man refused to hire him, thinking Young's vibe wasn't trustworthy enough. But the moment the daughter, Oran, laid eyes on Young, she was struck by Cupid's arrow. It was love at first sight. Naturally, he was hired on the spot. After a period of working his tail off, Young earned his father-in-law's respect and completely won Oran's heart. Eventually, Oran couldn't bear to see him working out in the sun all day, so she promoted him to a kitchen assistant role just to keep him close. Young was deeply moved by her affection. From that point on, he fell into the web of love and never wanted to find a way out. Songwon suggests that Young might be regretting the marriage, but Young shuts that down immediately. To him, the luckiest thing that ever happened to him was marrying a woman as good as Oran. Songwon reminds Young that they aren't young anymore. At their age, they can't just rely on brute force and hard-against-hard tactics. He suggests that Young team up with Byung, arguing that their chances of success are much higher as a duo. Meanwhile, back at the casino, the big boss has returned. He orders his henchmen to keep a tight watch on the Young-ae situation, dead or alive. He needs to find her. But the moment his back is turned, one of his subordinates scurries off to a cafe to sell that exact intel to the chairman. The following day, Songwon poses as a police officer to get information from a recovery diver. The diver reveals that Young-ae's body wasn't in the car. There's a high chance she was swept out to sea by the waves. Whether she is dead or alive at this point is entirely up to fate. Following a trail of clues, Song-won heads to the beach and finds a car parked nearby equipped with a dashcam. Using a few expert tricks, he easily breaks into the car. He pulls the memory card and watches the footage, which shows Jae-soon saving young Ae and taking her away. Meanwhile, over at the convenience store, Beom Ryong is telling Gongbok that Ho-myung knows everything about them. Just as they are panicking, wondering what to do, Ho-myung bursts through the door. His sudden appearance scares the living daylights out of Gongbok. After all, they are just thugs, and Ho-myung is a professional operative. Every time they meet, it's like a game of cat and mouse. Ho-myung announces that he is getting old and plans to retire. This, he says, will be his absolute last mission before washing his hands of the business for good. Ho-myung says he is looking for partners, and the two of them are his top candidates. However, he maintains a super arrogant attitude, acting like he is doing them a massive favor. This really rubs Beom Ryong the wrong way, as if Ho-myung thinks they aren't even on the same level. Then, Ho-myung pulls out a video of Gongbok and Beom Ryong getting beaten up by the casino thugs. He threatens to leak the video and embarrass them. He gives them until tomorrow night to think it over. He leaves them with a chilling ultimatum. If he doesn't get the answer he wants by then, they shouldn't blame him when the video goes viral. They realize they are caught between a rock and a hard place, stuck between the casino boss and Ho-myung. But as the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and Gongbok knows this logic all too well. He suggests that Beom Ryong should team up with Ho-myung. At this point, pooling their resources is the only smart move. Beom Ryong is getting older. While his punches are still legendary, his stamina just isn't what it used to be. It's time for him to have a partner to watch his back in a fight. But Beom Ryong is old school and stubborn. He refuses to listen to Gongbok's advice. Gongbok talks until his throat is dry, but when his boss still won't budge, he storms off in a huff. Alone, Beom Ryong's mind wanders back to the day he first met Gongbok. Back then, Gongbok was just a lowly server at the casino, being chased and beaten like a stray dog. Beom Ryong was the one who stepped in and saved him. To Gongbok, it was like finding a lifeline in a storm. From that day on, he put Beom Ryong on a pedestal right next to his idols, begging him to take him on as a subordinate. On the other side of town, young Ae finally regains consciousness. She remembers every single cruel thing the casino thugs did to her. But she is badly injured and knows she can't take on an entire army alone. She decides the smartest move is to lay low here until the heat dies down. Jae-soon brings the whole group to visit her. Young Ae is a smooth talker. With just a few choice words, she triggers the heroic instincts of Park and the others, making them feel an overwhelming need to protect her. She reveals that she is a prosecutor who was targeted while investigating a major case. She thanks them for saving her life and offers to look into the casino's land-grabbing schemes that ruined their lives. That evening, after cooling off, Gongbok returns to the convenience store. He sees that Beom Ryong has hung up a closed for personal business sign. He heads up to the rooftop to find his boss. Beom Ryong finally opens up to his young subordinate. He admits that he is getting old and can feel the clear changes in his body. Beom Ryong finally agrees to partner with Ho-myung, but on one condition: Gongbok must dig up every single piece of intel on Ho-myung. After all, to know your enemy is to win 100 battles. Meanwhile, in a secret location, Old Man Han calls a meeting with his two most trusted lieutenants. If the chairman is Han's right hand, then In-gu, the casino boss, is his left. Han controls both the legal and the criminal underworld, with profits flowing in like the waters of the Ganges. The chairman immediately starts snitching on In-gu, pointing out his recent mistakes, which clearly irritates Han. Han then gives In-gu a direct order, but In-gu tries to wiggle out of it, claiming he is too busy. Han calls him out, suspecting that In-gu is running a side hustle that is keeping him so occupied. Being called out by the big boss terrifies In-gu. He knows he can't afford to make Han angry right now. In the elevator on the way out, the chairman continues to provoke him. Between the failing business and the constant harassment from that small-minded chairman, In-gu is about to lose it. He ends up taking his rage out on his subordinate, ordering the man to tail Mr. Kim. Finally, the big moment arrives. Ho-myung is invited to meet Gongbok and Beom Ryong for an answer. Beom Ryong officially agrees to the partnership. But because these two are naturally at each other's throats, they barely exchange a few words before they're ready to throw punches. Both of these middle-aged men have incredibly short fuses. Poor Gongbok is left stuck in the middle, forced to act as the reluctant referee. Just as the tension reaches a breaking point, Song-won calls in to stop the brawl. He drops a bombshell on Ho-myung. Young Ae isn't dead. Turns out she was rescued by Jae-soon and taken to safety. Ho-myung relays the news to the other two. But let us be real, this is one shaky alliance. It could fall apart at any second because Beom Ryong and Ho-myung still absolutely despise each other. Gongbok finds himself stuck in the middle, playing the role of the peacemaker trying to soothe their constant friction. Later, Ho-myung takes the duo to meet Song-won. Unlike the prickly Ho-myung, who seems to annoy everyone he meets. The old man is a total natural. With just a few simple words, he easily strikes up a friendship with the two thugs. Meanwhile, Jae-soon is basically playing full-time nurse to young Ae, taking care of her every need, from food to sleep. He tells her that he was once in her exact position, broken and alone, and since kind people helped him back then, he wants to pay it forward by helping her now. At the same time, Ho-myung's wife, Oh-ran, is driving Park's pickup truck to Mr. Kim's house. What she doesn't know is that she has a massive target on her back. The casino thugs are already moving in on her. Gongbak, who has been tasked with keeping an eye on the goons, spots the tail. Since he spent so much time stalking Ho-myung before, he immediately recognizes Oh-ran as Ho-myung's wife. We then learn about Mr. Kim, a truly decent man. He has been secretly funding the refugee camp and providing food for the homeless people who were robbed of their land and houses by Old Man Han and the casino. After Oh-ran leaves Mr. Kim's place, she realizes she is being followed. She slams on the gas, trying desperately to shake them, but it's no use. Thinking fast, she ducks into a dead-end alley and hides in the shadows, ready to go beast mode and beat the living daylights out of the stalkers if they dare to attack. But she has no idea that Gongbak is her secret guardian angel. He moves like a shadow, taking out the two thugs before they can even get close to her. Once the coast is clear, Oh-ran peels out of there, completely unaware of what just happened. While Oh-ran is out, Ho-myung sneaks back home to see his son. The restaurant is absolute chaos without him. His father-in-law and his friend are drowning in work, running around like headless chickens. The old man begs Ho-myung to find a way to make up with his wife ASAP, or else he is going to drop dead from exhaustion. Ho-myung is at a total loss. Oh-ran has blocked him on everything, and he has zero clue how to re-woo his own wife. By lunchtime, Gongbak finds a lunchbox, the specific kind that Officer Mi-kyung used to eat. Byum-ryong tells him to just go ahead and eat it. He is convinced that Mi-kyung is never coming back and that their relationship is ancient history. In fact, Byum-ryong is already planning to shut down the convenience store for good and is meeting with someone to finalize it. But then, in a twist of fate, Mi-kyung actually shows up. Gongbak, thinking he is doing his boss a favor, decides to take matters into his own hands. He intercepts Mi-kyung and tells her to leave, claiming that she and Byum-ryong live in two different worlds and there is no happy ending for them. When Byum-ryong sees her leaving and tries to give chase, he is too late. When he finds out Gongbak was the one who chased her away, he is so livid he looks like he is about to cough up blood. Over with Jae-soon, he is desperately trying to reach Namael, but the stubborn kid won't pick up. To make matters worse, Namael's bad friends are trying to convince him to sneak home and steal money from Jae-soon. However, Namael shows a spark of character. He realizes how much Jae-soon has sacrificed for him. He tells them he'll earn his own money. But the kid is naive. Those same friends trick him into a high-paying, light work job that is clearly a trap. The poor kid is being sold out and he is actually helping them count the money. The next morning, young Ae continues her investigation into the list of victims whose land was stolen by the casino, a list that includes Jae-soon and his nephew. Jae-soon honestly confesses that his nephew's gambling addiction is what led to them losing their home. He also opens up to young Ae about his own tragic past. He explains that an accident 10 years ago wiped his memory clean. He has tried everything from hypnosis to experimental medication, but nothing has worked. Just then, Oh-ran calls the group together for an emergency meeting. She tells them about being followed by the casino thugs. Hearing this, young Ae decides that tomorrow, she is going to track down Sergeant Kim and ask for his help to finally blow this case wide open. Officer Kim might wear a badge, but he is essentially a mercenary for hire. As long as the price is right, he'll do literally anything. Meanwhile, Songwon's group is huddling up to map out their next move. They've caught wind of a massive drug shipment set to arrive at the South Korean docks in just a few days. Their mission is simple but dangerous. Secure the evidence. All the drug money is destined for the pockets of Ingu and Old Man Han, and this shipment is the key to locking them both away for life. However, team morale is a bit low. Byum-ryong is currently wallowing in a pit of heartbreak and keeping to himself. Ho-myung, who already isn't his biggest fan, can't help but poke the bear with a few snarky comments. Already on edge, Byum-ryong is ready to use Ho-myung as a human punching bag to vent his frustration. Songwon has to pull Byum-ryong aside to play peacemaker and calm him down. That leaves Gongbak alone with Ho-myung, and through Gongbak's loose lips, Ho-myung finds out the truth. Byum-ryong is head over heels for the female officer. Later that night, Ho-myung catches Byum-ryong creeping and watching her from a distance. Ho-myung gives him a reality check, telling him to park his personal feelings and stay laser-focused on the mission. Once the job is done, he can go back to being a romantic, but for now, lives are on the line. Meanwhile, the casino henchman is playing a dangerous game. He reports his findings to the casino boss but intentionally leaves out the juicy details, choosing instead to sell that top-tier intel to the chairman. This guy is a clever snake trying to milk both sides for cash. He shows the chairman photos of Oran visiting Mr. Kim's house, and the chairman immediately orders a full background check on her. The next day, the corrupt Sergeant Kim visits a local restaurant. He is there for a free meal, but he is also a total bully, complaining about the food just to put pressure on the owner. Eventually, the poor owner can't take the harassment anymore and throws a wad of cash at him just to get him to leave. Kim walks away grinning, thrilled with his easy score. But his joy is cut short when Mi-kyung suddenly appears and delivers a righteous beatdown. As a woman of justice, she can't stand seeing someone abuse their power like that. Then, young E steps out of the shadows, and Kim's face goes pale. Seeing someone he thought was a ghost standing there in the flesh is enough to make his heart stop. The two women force him to confess every dirty deed he has ever done. But the moment they let their guard down, Kim tries to strike back. He pulls a taser and fires it at Mi-kyung. Fortunately, Jae-soon jumps in, using his own body as a shield to protect her. Mi-kyung doesn't miss a beat. She kicks Kim to the ground and restrains him. Meanwhile, Jae-soon is left twitching on the floor from the massive electric shock. Just then, the casino boss's thugs call Kim's phone. Under the group's watchful eyes, they force Kim to answer. That's how they find out Oran is being targeted by the casino's goons. After the call, Mi-kyung hauls Kim away. They can't let him loose just yet. Back at HQ, Song-won's group is doing their homework. They discover that Ingu has been exploiting innocent college students, using them as mules to deliver the drugs. It's a sickening crime, and they are determined to stop it. Ho-myung finally steps into his role as a professional leader, delegating tasks with military precision. For the next phase of the plan, he and Byum-ryong head down to the harbor to find a notorious local gang leader. Their goal? A hostile takeover of his turf to use as their temporary base of operations. Ho-myung gives the green light, and Byum-ryong starts laying into those thugs before they can even catch their breath. The gangsters are left scratching their heads in total confusion why, out of 1 billion people on Earth, did these two lunatics have to pick them to mess with? After a brutal fist-to-face education session, Byum-ryong and Ho-myung officially seize the gang's turf for their own use. Byum-ryong spends the whole walk back pouting, annoyed that Ho-myung made him take on the entire crowd alone. Once they achieve their goal, the two finally head out. On the other side of town, Gongbak is paired up with Song-won. The two of them head to the docks, using heavy-duty cranes to clear the stage for the upcoming operation. Previously, the four of them had a meeting where Ho-myung assigned specific roles, splitting them into 2 tactical teams to make things run smoother. Thanks to their meticulous prep, both pairs are working in perfect harmony. It's a strange sight. Guys from the criminal underworld and high-level operatives now in the same boat, working as one. All 4 of them have made a pact this is the last job before early retirement. They've decided it's better to burn out in a blaze of glory than to spend the rest of their lives flickering out in obscurity. Seeing that Byum-ryong looks a bit worn down, Ho-myung decides it's time for a nutritional boost. He drags the whole crew to a famous barbecue joint. Ho-myung is the host, but in a classic move, he makes poor Song-won foot the bill. During dinner, Gongbak starts snitching on Byum-ryong for his poor treatment over the years. He complains that for the last 10 years working at the convenience store, he has been forced to live off nothing but expired food. Song-won and Ho-myung are genuinely heartbroken for the guy, giving Byum-ryong a piece of their minds for being such a cheapskate boss. Slowly, the group begins to truly open up to one another. They start talking about their lives over the last decade. Gongbak, curious, asks Ho-myung if his marriage to Oran was actually just part of a deep-cover mission. For Ho-myung, everything else can be a joke, but his family is the absolute red line. Seeing him react so intensely, the others quickly drop the subject. After stuffing themselves, Ho-myung and Byum-ryong head outside, leaving the bill for the long-suffering Song-won. Byum-ryong expresses concern that their combat skills aren't what they used to be. Ho-myung bluntly agrees, saying that that's exactly why he had to lower himself to partner with thugs like Byum-ryong and Gongbak. He tells his new partner to get his head in the game. With the war looming, they need to cut out all the extra noise and anxiety. They need to pour every ounce of energy into the battle ahead. As they return to the secret base, just hours before the mission, Ho-myung suddenly announces he needs to leave to handle a private matter. Byum-ryong and Gongbak, not knowing the full story, can't wrap their heads around it. Only Song-won understands. He lets Ho-myung go, hoping he can salvage his tangled mess of a marriage. While he is gone, the two thugs get curious about Ho-myung's history. Song-won doesn't hold back and spills the beans on Ho-myung's life and career. It turns out Ho-myung used to be one of Old Man Han's top enforcers. One day, he was tasked with assassinating a traitor. Ho-myung tracked the target to a humble house, where he found a man skillfully cooking a meal. The man sensed Ho-myung's presence immediately. It turned out to be Agent Jae, a close colleague of Ho-myung. He revealed that he had been framed by Han and was being silenced to cover up the truth. He didn't want to make things hard for Ho-myung. He only made one final request. to see his daughter's face one last time before he died. Ho Myung, moved to tears, was about to agree to the compromise. But in that exact moment, Old Man Han appeared out of nowhere. With one cold-blooded, precise shot, he ended Jae's life. Ho Myung couldn't believe his eyes. He confronted Han, demanding to know why he did it when the man had already agreed to go quietly. Why did he have to hunt him down to the bitter end? Han simply mocked Ho Myung, telling him he was too emotional and that he was an easy target for manipulation. Old Man Han coldly ordered Ho Myung to stay behind and clean up the crime scene. While he was doing that, his heart was shattered when he saw his friend's young daughter skipping home from school, totally unaware of the tragedy. This was a massive psychological blow for Ho Myung. He was consumed by a sense of helplessness and a crushing weight of regret. Even later, after starting his own family and having a son, he was still haunted by the fear that one day, Old Man Han would find out about his family and silence them all to cover his tracks. When he first started working at the restaurant, he intentionally kept his distance from Oran. But as fate would have it, the two ended up having a one-night stand. Later, Oran came to him with the news that she was pregnant. She told him straight up that he didn't have to take responsibility. After all, she was 40 years old, and she saw this child as a miracle from heaven. However, Ho Myung isn't the type to run away. He believes in standing up for his actions. And just like that, the two became husband and wife after that accident. Back in the present, Ho Myung has returned to the restaurant, but he is too ashamed to face his wife. His father-in-law spots him and rushes over to check on him. The old man even tries to coach Ho Myung on a bunch of pro tips for apologizing to a wife, though Ho Myung doesn't seem to be catching on at all. The father-in-law then shares his own story. Years ago, he was scammed out of all his money and had to drag his family back to the countryside. He didn't dare tell his wife because she was pregnant at the time. By the time he finally worked up the courage to tell her the truth, it was too late. A tragic accident took her away from him forever. He urges Ho Myung to seize the opportunity now. He warns him not to let this grudge drag on any longer. Ho Myung promises that once this mission is over, he'll come clean about everything from his true roots to his real job. Meanwhile, the chairman is extending his predatory claws toward the orphanage. First, he bribes environmental inspectors to harass the place with surprise inspections. The inspectors claim the school environment is too dilapidated to provide a healthy upbringing for the kids. They give the principal an ultimatum: either renovate the entire orphanage or shut it down to settle the debts. Heartbroken at the thought of the children being left homeless, the principal scours the city trying to borrow money. But the banks flatly reject her loan applications. She pleads for mercy, but the banks show none. That's when the chairman makes his heroic entrance. He steps in to defend the principal, using his legal expertise to humiliate the bank manager into silence. The bank is forced to reconsider the funding for the orphanage. The principal is beyond grateful, believing the chairman is a savior for her and the children. What she doesn't know is that the whole thing was a setup. She is being lured into a deadly trap, unknowingly becoming a key pawn in the plot to take down her own husband. The chairman then offers to donate a shipment of books to the orphanage, claiming that books are vessels of knowledge that will lead the children to success. During lunch, the principal excitedly tells her husband about the generous donor. But the moment Mr. Kim hears it's the chairman, he frantically warns her to stay away from that man. He knows the chairman is Old Man Han's right-hand man and his direct rival for the mayor's office, so there's no way they'd be helping her out of the goodness of their hearts. But as a motherly figure who only cares about the kids, the principal refuses to listen. The next day, the truckload of books arrives, along with several large, sealed boxes. The chairman casually claims they are just paintings. By the afternoon, the chairman gleefully reports back to Old Man Han. They've successfully moved several masterpieces by famous artists into the orphanage. At the same time, they flood the orphanage's digital wallet with a massive amount of cash, labeling the transfers as donations. Poor Mr. Kim is finished. He is about to be hit with a massive scandal involving illegal political fundraising. Young Ae hop on a call with her contact to get a rush update on the scouting situation. She learns that the Paradise Casino is planning a massive move tonight. She immediately breaks the news to everyone at the refugee camp, telling them it's far too dangerous and that she'll handle the mission solo. But the group isn't having it. There's no way they're letting her walk into a death trap alone. After some back and forth, the whole squad decides to go all in and hit the field together. That night, the casino boss, Ingu, rallies his henchmen for a final pep talk. Tonight is the make-or-break moment for them. Their entire future depends on the success of this one deal. It's either a life of luxury or total ruin. Meanwhile, Namail's best friends have dragged him down to the docks under the guise of a high-paying, easy job for the mob. The second he spots Ingu and his gang, Namail's heart starts racing. He tries his best to blend into the shadows, but the two thugs spot him instantly. Ingu calls him out by name, and a terrified Namail tries to bolt, but he is quickly intercepted and snatched up by the boss's lackeys. Meanwhile, Young AS team arrives on the scene. Realizing that moving as a large group will blow their cover, she decides to split up and move in on her own. Jae-soon, however, can't stand the thought of her being out there unprotected, so he tails her. Back at the camp, Park jokes with the girls that there is definitely some romantic chemistry brewing between Young AE and Jae-soon. The scene shifts to the transaction. In-gu and the buyers are face to face. The boss lets the buyer's man sample the product. He gives it a glowing review, which leaves In-gu grinning from ear to ear. Everyone's eyes are then glued to a massive container dangling in the air. It's packed to the brim with drugs. In-gu orders his men to lower it, but halfway down, Gongbok intervenes. He sabotages the mechanism, leaving the container and the thugs guarding it frozen in midair. In-gu doesn't panic yet. He calls for Plan B, but he's in for a rude awakening. Gongbok has used the crane to hoist all of In-gu's backup options high into the sky. No matter how tough these thugs are, none of them are brave enough to jump from that height. With the stage set, it's time for our superheroes to make their grand entrance. The gangsters are absolutely stunned. Our two legends have arrived to play judge, jury, and executioner, determined to stop this white death from flooding South Korea. Ho-myung pulls out a remote detonator, ready to blow the whole shipment to Kingdom Come. But in a classic technical fail, the bomb doesn't go off. No matter how many times they mash the button, the dud won't explode. With their high-tech plan down the drain, they switch to the most brutal method possible. They charge in like a car with no brakes, diving headfirst into a massive combat brawl. It's a total free-for-all, and they aren't holding back. Despite their age, Ho-myung and Beom Ryong's combat skills are still lethal. Every punch they land sends a thug flying. Just as the fight reaches its peak, that unreliable bomb finally decides to wake up and explode. Drugs burst into the air, raining down on the docks like a winter blizzard. In-gu watches his entire fortune float away in the wind, and he is absolutely devastated. He looks like he wants to tear Ho-myung and Beom Ryong limb from limb, but seeing his men are useless, he resorts to a coward-esque move. He drags Namil out and puts a knife to his throat. He's gambling on the fact that one of these guys is the boy's uncle. Nearby, Young AE is capturing every second of the chaos on camera, with Jae-soon watching the drama unfold beside her. When Young AE zooms in, Jae-soon's face turns pale. He sees his nephew with a blade at his neck. He's ready to rush in blindly, but Young AE holds him back. Charging in without a plan is just a suicide mission. Desperate to trigger his beast mode memories, Jae-soon hands her a stick and tells her to hit him over the head as hard as she can. After taking the hit, he collapses as if he's dead. Young AE panics, terrified she's actually killed him, and frantically calls for the rest of the team to come help. Ho-myung immediately recognizes that Namil is Jae-soon's nephew. Not wanting the thugs to harm a hostage, he tries to open negotiations. But right at that moment, Jae-soon makes an entrance like an absolute god. He delivers a kick so powerful it knocks In-gu out cold on the spot. Jae-soon's arrival kicks the tension up to a whole new level. Meanwhile, Young AE calls her teammates for backup. They pull up in a getaway car and whisk Jae-soon and Namil safely away from the scene. On the other side of the docks, Song-won and Beom Ryong decide it's time to move. They signal the others to retreat while they drive the car to pick them up. Seeing the group trying to escape, In-gu frantically screams at his henchmen to give chase. But as the thugs jump into their cars and try to start the engines, they realize they've been played dirty. It turns out Ho-myung's crew had stuffed rags into every single tailpipe of their vehicles. Once the group reaches safety, they finally breathe a huge sigh of relief. Today's mission was a massive, spectacular success, a total adrenaline rush. The Fantastic Four head back to their secret hideout to throw a celebration. All four of them raise their glasses, toasting to their brilliant victory. However, Ho-myung is still troubled by Jae-soon's sudden appearance at the harbor. He's convinced that Jae-soon must be deeply entangled in this mess. He also can't stop thinking about that mysterious car that saved the uncle and nephew. Ho-myung suspects that Jae-soon isn't working alone. There has to be an entire professional team backing him up. To verify his theory, they've started coordinating their intel. Ho-myung asks Gongbok to hack into the surveillance cameras. After all, Gongbok is a top-tier hacker. Later, Song-won and Ho-myung sit by the beach, drinking beer. Seeing his friend look so down, Song-won assumes Ho-myung is still worried about his family drama. But Ho-myung reveals his real concern is the Jae-soon situation. Furthermore, he reveals that the driver who saved Jae-soon was actually the female officer, Mi-kyung. He didn't dare mention this earlier because he was afraid Beom Ryong would get too emotional and blow the mission. For now, they can't jump to conclusions. They have to wait for the surveillance footage results. Meanwhile, Jae-soon has regained consciousness. His nephew, Namil, is terrified and consumed by guilt, feeling like a burden for making his uncle worry so much. Jae-soon is absolutely livid when he finds out the kid was stupid enough to agree to ship drugs for the mob. Back at the villainess base, Ingu's henchman goes to the chairman to report on the previous night's disaster. The chairman is speechless at their incompetence. These guys just can't seem to get anything right. When he hears that two men completely trashed his multi-million-dollar deal, the chairman is beyond furious. He orders the henchman to track down the police and extract the surveillance footage to find a lead on who did this. That evening, the henchman finds Ingu and hands him a bag of drugs. From a massive shipment worth a fortune, all that's left is a tiny, pathetic pinch. As Ingu thinks about his lost fortune, he feels like his heart is being ripped out. His misery is doubled when he realizes the casino's cash flow has completely dried up. This financial shock leaves Ingu in a state of total collapse. Just then, young AE returns to the refugee camp to discuss last night's mission with the team. They've secured the video of Ingu's drug deal, but they know it's still not enough to take the whole organization down. The group starts to panic, unsure where to find the missing link. But young AE tells them they don't need to look far. Sergeant Kim is still locked up right there in the camp. The group rushes to the room where he is being held. When Kim hears that they want him to act as a double agent, he is absolutely shocked. As a man with blood on his hands, he knows exactly how terrifying old man Han's power truly is. Kim tries to resist, but young AE gives him an ultimatum. If he doesn't cooperate, she will drag all his dirty laundry into the light and expose every crime he has ever committed. Kim is shaking in his boots, sweating bullets because he is stuck in a rock and a hard place scenario. Choosing either side feels like a death sentence. He is practically crying his eyes out in despair. Park is still skeptical, worried that Kim is a leopard that won't change its spots and will eventually betray them. However, Officer Mikyung steps up, stating she'll take full responsibility for monitoring this guy. Meanwhile, Byum Ryong and Songwon are glued to the monitors, checking the surveillance footage. Right then, Byum Ryong's old boss, Hwang, calls from prison. Byum Ryong cautiously slips outside to take the call. Hwang orders him to come to the prison for a face-to-face. The old man wants a status report on how the partnership with young AE is going. To get away, Byum Ryong lies to Songwon, claiming there's an urgent issue at the convenience store that he needs to handle. Just like that, he leaves Songwon buried under a mountain of work and peels out. At the same time, the principal arrives at the orphanage for her daily routine. Her staff drops a bombshell. A massive sum of money has just been wired into their account. Panicked, she tries to call the accountant, but he doesn't pick up. No matter how hard they look, the accountant seems to have vanished into thin air. Back at the restaurant, Mr. Kim is having his usual meal. Old man Han shows up to meet him and tosses down a stack of documents, evidence of his wife's bribery scandal. Mr. Kim turns pale. He trusts his wife completely and is certain that Han's people set a trap for her. Han delivers an ultimatum. If Mr. Kim drops out of the mayor's race, everything goes away. But if he refuses, the story will break in the press by this afternoon. Mr. Kim just scoffs. He tells Han that he couldn't care less about his own reputation. No matter what happens, he will never let Han achieve his goal of becoming mayor. He is convinced that if this island falls into Han's hands, it's game over for everyone. Meanwhile, Homyeong and Gongbok have been staked out in front of the police station for hours. Finally, their targets Sergeant Kim and Mikyung appear. Homyeong notes that Kim is a lackey bought by Han, and he can't figure out why Mikyung is with him. Gongbok insists that Mikyung isn't a bad person. He points out that for the last 3 years, she has been coming to the convenience store for cheap lunchboxes. If she were on Han's payroll, she wouldn't be living in such dirt-poor conditions. Gongbok is secretly worried about how Byum Ryong will react when he finds out Mikyung is involved in this mess. Back at the refugee camp, Jae-soon is cleaning up, but Namale's words are ringing in his head. Ever since young Ae hit him over the head, he has been having these trance-like moments where he possesses incredible combat skills. Jae-soon starts training, hoping his body will remember his past. Watching him, young Ae decides she can't just stand by. She mentions that she is an expert at helping people recover their memories. Usually, criminals who play dumb end up remembering everything and singing like canaries after she is done with them. She lures Jae-soon into a plan to analyze his old belongings for clues. At the station, Sergeant Kim is caught slacking off, playing games on his phone. Mikyung is fed up with this lazy bum. She orders him to call Kong-sik, the casino boss's right-hand man, to strike up a conversation. After a few questions, Kong-sik says he wants to meet Kim for a new assignment. Under Mikyung's intimidating gaze, Kim asks if he can bring her along, and Kong-sik agrees. Homyeong sees Mikyung driving off and tails her immediately. They head to a deserted seaport. Kim gets out of the car, acting all friendly with Kong-sik. The moment Kong-sik sees Mikyung, he is absolutely floored by her beauty. He immediately starts acting more polite, trying to play it cool. Kong-sik orders Kim to scrub the surveillance footage to find the 2 culprits from the dock heist. Kim asks if he should report the results to Ingu, but Kong-sik lets him in on a secret. Ingu is finished, and Kong-sik has no intention of going down with the sinking ship. So, It turns out Kong-sik has officially jumped ship and is now working for the chairman. Ho Myung caught their entire secret meeting on camera. Gongbok is absolutely stunned to see Mi-kyung getting dragged into this mess. He is terrified that Byum Ryong's world will come crashing down if he finds out his goddess has gone bad. After all, in this entire world, the only people Byum Ryong ever truly put his faith in were Mi-kyung and Hwang. Byum Ryong views Hwang like a savior, the father figure who reached out during his darkest hour. But to Hwang, Byum Ryong is just a loyal dog, convenient to order around. Byum Ryong goes to the prison to visit Hwang, who claims he just missed him and that the business talk is secondary. Hwang starts this poor me routine, talking about how his own adopted son, whom he trusted with his life, betrayed him. He says this made him lose faith in the whole world, except for Byum Ryong. He tells him, "You're the only one I trust," but it's all a massive guilt trip. Byum Ryong leaves the prison feeling like his head is going to explode from the psychological manipulation. The irony? Hwang says he trusts him the most, yet he has got people tailing Byum Ryong 24/7. That night, Old Man Han summons Ingu and throws the evidence of his utter stupidity right in his face. Seeing his dirty deeds exposed, Ingu is terrified. He drops to his knees, sobbing and begging for mercy. But Han is over it. He has had enough of the disappointment. He tells Ingu he is going into early retirement and hands his entire operation over to the chairman. Ingu is fuming. He is convinced that every ounce of his bad luck was personally orchestrated by the chairman. He barks orders at his henchman, Kong-sik, to gather the crew tonight. He is going to have a final showdown with the chairman. Meanwhile, Young Yi and Jae-soon are sifting through his old belongings. When they find that black dress, things get awkward. Jae-soon's masculinity is under fire, and he swears up and down that he is 100% a man's man. Elsewhere, Old Man Han tells his assistant it's a shame about Ingu. If the guy weren't so dim-witted, he'd be useful for a few more years. You see, Han needs a balance. While the chairman handles the legitimate public side of things, Ingu was perfect for the dirty work in the shadows. Young Yi starts analyzing 10-year-old CCTV footage from the docks, and the light bulb finally goes off. She realizes the woman in the black dress from back then was actually Jae-soon. She starts suspecting he is a deep-cover agent sent from North Korea. That night, Ingu leads a mob of henchmen to the chairman's penthouse, ready for war. Inside, the chairman is throwing a victory party. When Ingu bursts in, the chairman doesn't even blink. Why? Because most of Ingu's men turn their backs on him right then and there, siding with the chairman. Kong-sik then delivers one surprise after another. It turns out his most trusted subordinate has been selling Ingu's business secrets to the chairman all along. Ingu finally understands why he failed so miserably. After screaming at Kong-sik until his throat is dry, he asks the chairman for one final favor, a glass of wine. Although Kong-sik is against it, the chairman agrees. Kong-sik reluctantly brings the glass over, keeping a cautious and safe distance. But Ingu doesn't take the glass, he lets it fall and shatter. In the chaos of that distraction, he attacks. He breaks away from the mob and uses a fire extinguisher to brutally beat them back. Watching this dog-eat-dog fight between Ingu and Kong-sik, the chairman finds the whole thing incredibly entertaining. After a desperate struggle, Ingu manages to make it to the parking garage, dives into his car, and peels away with the goons hot on his heels. Ingu literally flees for his life. He swears a blood oath that if he gets the chance, he is going to get his revenge on Old Man Han, the chairman, and that snake Kong-sik. The next morning at the restaurant, Oran's father and his assistant ask if she is going out today. The place has been slammed with customers lately, and these two old-timers are running on fumes. They're basically at their breaking point. Oran tells them she is staying put today. She tells the two old men to go get some rest and that she'll handle everything in the restaurant solo. Just then, the TV breaks the news. Mr. Kim has officially announced his withdrawal from the mayor's race. Oran is absolutely floored by the news. Meanwhile, young Ae is getting ready to head out when she spots Jae-soon and his nephew doing laundry. She leans in and whispers to Jae-soon, asking him to meet her at a cafe for a talk. Park and Namael immediately assume there is some romantic chemistry going on. They go into full makeover mode, styling Jae-soon up because they want him to make a killer first impression on what they think is his first date. When young Ae sees him in his fresh, youthful look, she is actually caught off guard. At the same time, Oran rushes to the principal's house. The poor woman is a total mess after her husband's resignation. Convinced that she is the reason his career went up in flames. She is spiraling, and it takes everything Oran has to calm her down. Eventually, the two decide to track down that accountant to demand some real answers. Meanwhile, back at the secret base, Byum Ryong is moping around like a lost soul. Song-won checked the CCTV and knows he went to see Hwang today. He realizes Byum Ryong is torn, feeling like working with the team is a betrayal of his old boss. Just then, Kong-sik's henchmen spot Oran and the principal arriving at the accountant's house. They immediately call it in to Kong-sik, who barks orders at Sergeant Kim to get over there and take action. At the police station, Gongbok and Homyeong are still staked out when Beom Ryong charges in. He kicks Gongbok out of the car and takes the passenger seat himself. He tells Homyeong that Songwon told him everything about Mikyung's ties to the mob. He is done running from the truth and chooses to face it head-on. Homyeong tries to comfort him, telling him to stay sharp and not let his emotions cloud his judgment. Over at the cafe, Jae-soon is probably expecting a romantic confession from Young Ae. Instead, she drops the ultimate bombshell. She tells him he is actually a North Korean sleeper agent. Jae-soon is in total shock and flatly denies it. He is not willing to lose the life he has now, his family, his friends, everything. Meanwhile, Gongbok and Homyeong take Mikyung to the accountant's house. When the mobsters head inside, Mikyung wants to intervene, but Kim stops her. He tells her that Kong-sik only sent them there to clean up the scene. Since Beom Ryong's face is already known to the mob, Homyeong decides he'll be the one to go inside. Inside the house, the principal is grilling the accountant, demanding to know why he betrayed her. The accountant looks like he is carrying a burden he can't speak of, choosing to stay silent and take the heat. Elsewhere, Ingu, now jobless and desperate, is calling everyone he knows for help, but they all give him the cold shoulder. Suddenly, he spots Jae-soon and Young Ae. Thinking they've been the ones pulling his strings all along, he loses it. He slams on the gas and barrels toward them at full speed. In a split second, Jae-soon manages to shove Young Ae out of the way, but he takes the hit full on, being sent flying several meters into the air. Back inside the house, Homyeong enters to find a horrifying sight. His wife is being beaten by a group of thugs. This is the woman he has pampered and protected, the one he has never even raised his voice to, and now these punks are laying hands on her? Homyeong goes into a total blind rage. He dismantles the thugs with such raw power and lethal precision that Oran is left swooning, watching her husband become a total action hero right before her eyes. Who would have thought that this near-fatal crash accidentally brought back all of Bong's old memories? On the other hand, Young's wife, after her romantic moment, wondered why he was there. But that's for later. Right now, both of them had to rush the principal to the hospital for an emergency. Song-sik was on his way to the accountant's house. He accidentally saw Kong and Jung together, but he didn't know who Jung was. When he stepped into the accountant's house, he saw his henchmen lying all over the floor. He didn't know that just a moment ago, he had passed by the two people who did this. On the other hand, after safely getting the principal to the hospital, Jung and his wife sat down to talk. He didn't want his wife to be friends with people in politics because they are always surrounded by danger. The wife blamed him, asking what secret he was hiding and who he really was. Jung found it hard to speak. It wasn't that he wanted to lie to his wife, but this mess was just too dangerous. He just wanted to keep the woman he loved safe and out of it. At Chairman Du's office, the henchmen had to do headstands because they let the principal get away. Song-sik reported the appearance of a new character with Kong. They only knew Kong was the second in command of the Han gang, but they didn't know who Jung was. But with his sharp mind, Chairman Du quickly realized the duo Jung and Kong were the two troublemaking superheroes who ruined Ingu's flower deal. But who Jung really was, they still didn't know. Song-sik suggested he go catch Kong to interrogate him about Jung's true identity. Chairman Du was hopeless at his henchman's lack of brains, thinking he could catch Kong with just his strength was laughable. He advised Song-sik to stay in his lane and handle the casino business. Then he assigned the task of dealing with Jung and Kong to Secretary Nam. Secretary Nam suggested hiring assassins to kill them. Jung sat dazed by the river, not daring to go home. Sung went out to keep him company. He told him he would do whatever it takes to wipe out Old Han's faction to keep the island peaceful and his wife's family safe. On the other hand, Who knew Ingu still had one last card to get revenge. He had a muscular younger brother with a mad dog personality, ready to eat anyone he was told to. In the hospital, Prosecutor Kong patiently waited for Bong to wake up. She called someone to tell Nam-ai to come to the hospital to visit his uncle. At Kim's house, while preparing things for his wife, he felt a second person in the house. He carefully checked every corner, found the window open, and heard noise on the stairs. The intruder turned out to be Jung. After talking for a bit, he finally found out why Kim dropped out of the race. Now, both of them had the same goal, to protect the island and stop Old Han from becoming mayor. Then Kim gave him the address in Fukloi, where he was sheltering people whose land was stolen by the casino. Next to it was a dance club. Jung remembered that lately, his wife often left the house saying she was going dancing. It turned out she was participating in the protest for people who lost their land. Jung was just about to leave when he saw Nami speed off from there. He quickly chased after him. It turned out the kid was rushing to the hospital to see how his uncle was doing. When the nurse asked who would stay behind to care for the patient, Prosecutor Kong immediately raised her hand for the job. After all, Bong only got into this mess because he saved her. Nami was over the moon to see the first woman ever show an interest in his uncle. He handed over the caretaking duties to Prosecutor Kong. When she got back to the room, Jung was already there waiting for her. She told him that Ingu had been kicked out of Old Han's crew. Now, the power on the island belongs to Chairman Du. Du cleans everything up very neatly. Because of that, there's no evidence showing he's working for Old Han. Back to the package with the USB. Jung said the signal detector would shut off if he got within 10 meters of it. But for the past 10 years, he's traveled all over the island, and the signal has never once turned off. Even when he went to Bong's house, he got nothing. Right now, only Bong knows where the USB is. After Jung and the others left the room, Bong suddenly opened his eyes. But his gaze was sharp, not gentle at all like it used to be. That evening, Jung called Kong out for a talk. Jung told Kong that the policewoman, because of her sense of justice, had also gotten her hands dirty in the plan against Old Han's group. Hearing this, Kong was extremely worried about his crush. Both men now share the same heartache. The women they love are caught up in this big mess. To make these two women understand how dangerous it is to face Old Han, Kong and Jung decided they had to spill their real identities. Jung went home and sat across from his wife. Without her even asking, he straight up told her he was an undercover agent for the National Intelligence Service. Because he failed the mission to find evidence of Old Han's crimes, he had to drift to this island to hide. He knows it won't be long before Old Han finds him, and he's just afraid his wife and kids will be in danger. So he begged her to stop fighting the casino guys, close the restaurant, and move the whole family to the house in Phuc Loi for a while. That would be the safest place on the island because there are no surveillance cameras. At the same time, Kong also plucked up the courage to go see the policewoman. The two of them went to the convenience store to talk. She thought he was going to apologize for standing her up the other day. Instead, she heard him say he used to be a gangster, someone who used his fists to talk to others. She couldn't accept this truth at first. Since he was an insider, he knows those casino gangsters inside out. He begged her to stop going up against them because they aren't just your typical gangsters. Behind them is an extremely wicked politician. But after hearing this, the policewoman wanted to bust the whole nest even more. Plus, she and he aren't even a couple, so there was no need to worry about each other. Then she walked away. Her words made our Kong so heartbroken he burst into tears. Meanwhile, in the hospital, Bong had completely recovered his memory and regained his sharp assassin instincts. Because of that, he quickly found the tracking device that Jung had hidden in his shirt badge. He threw away the badge and went back home. He remembered that before his benefactor died, the man said he had buried his things on a hill. But the hill is so big, who knows where to dig. Bong suddenly remembered the signal transmitter Jung mentioned. Right now, the assassin's secretary Nam hired are closely tailing Kong. Kong didn't know, so he still went to meet Jung and Sung. The group's current mission isn't to find the USB anymore, but to investigate what project Old Han wants to develop on this island. This project is definitely suspicious. After everyone agreed on the plan and left, Kong begged his younger brother Magong to help him watch over the policewoman. He told him to report to him immediately if she is ever in danger. Magong was very unwilling, but for his big brother, he had to take the job. The whole group headed home, not knowing their secret base had been found by the assassins. At the hospital, Prosecutor Kong just woke up and found out Bong was gone. She immediately called Jung and the others over. Jung was confident he had a tracking chip on Bong. To his surprise, he got a slap in the face when he saw the chip lying on the floor. While everyone was panicking and didn't know what to do, Bong voluntarily returned to the room. He still acted innocent, saying he just craved chicken so he went to buy some. Chairman Du's people found the F4's secret base. They trashed everything. Besides some photos, there were also a few superhero masks. Just when they thought they found nothing, Kangsik suddenly remembered that Jung was the guy who usually delivered black bean noodles to him. Realizing Jung and Kong were no pushovers, Chairman Du told Secretary Nam to tell the assassins not to make a move yet. He wanted to let the small fry fight each other while he reaps the benefits, using Jung and Kong to get rid of Old Han or letting Old Han himself deal with them. Either way, Chairman Du just needs to sit back and watch the show without getting hurt himself. Acting on his thought, he immediately told Old Han about Jung and Kong's whereabouts, wanting to see how this old fox would handle two enemies from the past. The old man didn't expect the people he had been hunting for 10 years were living on the same island as him. Back at the hospital, Jung absolutely refused to believe Bong snuck out just to buy chicken. So one kept interrogating while the other kept playing dumb. Bong stubbornly wouldn't admit he had thrown away the tracking chip. He claimed it just accidentally fell off. Jung suddenly threw a soda can at Bong. For a split second, Jung clearly saw Bong smirk, but then he didn't dodge and let the can hit his head. The prosecutor felt bad seeing that, but Jung was furious, just wanting to jump in and beat Bong up because of his habit of acting so much. After acting like a total lunatic for a while, Bong snuck into a corner and finally dared to curse out Jung's entire family under his breath. After everyone cooled down, Prosecutor Kong asked for a private chat with Bong. She thanked him for saving her twice, She promised she would definitely pay back this debt. She gave him her personal number and told him that even if he goes back to his old ways, it doesn't change the fact that he is the one who saved her life. So whenever he needs her, she is there to help. After that, Bong was taken back to the house in Bakre. Jung couldn't believe his wife and kids had already moved there. His wife finally understood her husband's struggle. She knew she and the kids had to be safe first so he could focus on the fight. When Jung asked about his father-in-law, his wife said she couldn't talk her dad into closing the restaurant. Jung had to ask Kong to keep everyone safe there. Then he rushed back to the restaurant to check on his father-in-law. Luckily, he was totally fine. He took over cleaning the place so his father-in-law could go upstairs and rest. Right after he left, a guest walked in. This guy was none other than old Han. As soon as Han stepped in, he brought up Jung's wife and kids in a threatening way. He looked around the shop and commented that Jung's life was way too good right now. Why couldn't he just stay in his lane instead of digging into Han's business? His wife and kids were definitely his Achilles heel. But after a second of being scared, Jung realized something was off about old Han. With a fox like him, if he wanted to take someone down, he'd do it quietly and cruelly, not waste his time showing up in person just to talk smack. Was old Han actually scared? Turns out, he is still really on edge about that missing USB. He wasn't sure if Jung knew where it was, so he didn't dare make a move. Being called out made Han salty, but he couldn't do anything besides throwing out some empty threats before leaving. That talk pretty much drained all of Jung's energy. He knew a bigger war was coming. Meanwhile, his wife was talking to Kim. He told her to stop protesting against the casino for a bit. She just needed to stay safe and trust her husband to handle everything. After that talk, she understood her husband's struggle and worry even more, so she went straight home to talk to him. She said she wouldn't stick her nose into other people's business anymore. Now she just wanted to take care of her family. She wanted them to leave the island and hide somewhere far away. But Jung couldn't leave. He got the weight of his family and this island on his shoulders. His only goal was to take down old Han's evil empire. The wife understood her husband after hearing that. She promised him she would convince her dad to close the shop and move to the house in Bakre together. Today was also the day Boss Huang got out of prison. Surprisingly, the first person to pick him up was that traitorous henchman. He is currently the close secretary of old Han. He decided to follow him to meet old Han to see what the old guy wanted. On the other hand, Prosecutor Kong always felt like someone was following her. But for someone who had cheated death once like her, she wasn't afraid of a single soul anymore. She told Jung everything she had investigated over the past few days. Han is determined to run for mayor just to take full control of Dongsan Island. Don't look down on this island just because it's remote. Even though it's far from the mainland, it sits right at a strategic spot for maritime trade with China and Japan. Han's plan claims to develop a tourist area on the island, but in reality, it's about attracting foreign corporations and even the Yako crew to pour in money and investment, building an entertainment zone that is completely outside the reach of the law. Because once old Han holds the mayor's office, he'll be the one making the laws himself. If he succeeds, this project will bring him billions of gold, and this peaceful island will become a criminal paradise. Right now, the election is slowly coming to an end. Han's reputation in the public eye is extremely good. To show people his true face, they must quickly gather evidence that he is the one behind Paradise Casino, controlling the thugs to seize the people's land. Kong and his right-hand man Magong monitored Bong 24/7, forcing Bong to keep acting all innocent and simple. Elsewhere, Boss Huang was taken to meet old Han. Standing before the guy who set him up to go to jail years ago, the boss just wished he could jump up and throw a few punches at old Han. Yet Han still had the nerve to suggest they keep working together. He promised to give him 10% of the tourist area's profits so the boss could rebuild his gang. All Boss Huang had to do was tell his henchman Kong to bring him the lost USB. This pie in the sky from Han was very attractive to the boss, so he kindly let him know that his day to go to jail wasn't too far off, because he had already told his henchman Kong to tell everything from the past to a female prosecutor. And once a prosecutor is involved, as long as she has evidence, old Han will be indicted immediately. Only then did old Han find out that besides Kong and Jung, there was also a female prosecutor going up against him. He immediately ordered his secretary to find a way to eliminate her at all costs to avoid future trouble. By this time, Kong had led Bong to the base. Jung shooed Bong into the house. When only Kong and Ma were left, Jung told them that old Han had discovered everyone's whereabouts. So before he could hunt them down, they had to quickly find illegal evidence at Paradise Casino. And that casino is currently run by Kangsik. Kong laughed out loud when he heard this. Kangsik was actually just a shoe shiner in the Samba gang before. He isn't exactly the sharpest tool in the shed, so they can handle him easily. This is plan A. And plan B is to find the USB with the evidence. In the room, Bong just finished waving stupidly at everyone. When he leaned down, he immediately searched for the signal transmitter. It wasn't in the drawer, so he noticed the locked door. Right when he picked the lock, Jung and the others burst in. Bong immediately pretended to hold his stomach and cried out in pain. Jung asked Bong how much longer he wanted to keep up the act. Everyone had no idea that a bug was planted in this room to expose Bong's lies. Jung even went as far as throwing a knife. At this point, Bong couldn't pretend to stand still anymore. He had to lean to dodge the knife, and the tip happened to pin right into the assassin's bug. Everyone thought Bong had finally dropped the act. To their surprise, he still acted innocent and said, "I just got lucky," making Jung almost lose it right then and there. Bong sniffled like he was about to cry, saying that if he hadn't dodged, he would have died. This weakness made the other two ignore Jung and turn to comfort Bong instead. Jung immediately tied Bong up, saying that since it had come to this, he had to use the truth serum. Bong was truly scared now, but he still stubbornly screamed that he wasn't an assassin, just a normal guy. Realizing this drug had very dangerous side effects, Kong stopped Jung at the last minute. Seeing he had support, Bong got even more confident and yelled that he wasn't hiding anything at all. Seeing Bong so firm, Jung started to doubt his own hunch. In the end, he had to accept that Bong really had amnesia. Jung apologized to Bong and walked away. A little while later, Bong took the initiative to bring out some fruit juice to make up with Jung. But Jung was too proud and didn't care to drink it. Because he believed Bong truly lost his memory, Jung talked about the group's plan right in front of him. Jung would go to the casino to find evidence that Old Han is the one behind the place. Meanwhile, Kong and Magong would stay back with Bong. Their job was to make a list of all the places Bong had worked on the island before. Hopefully, at one of those old locations, the group could trace the whereabouts of the missing USB. Then Jung tossed Magong the key to the cabinet where the signal detector was hidden. Right now, at the casino, Kangsik was the manager on the surface. But in reality, every month Chairman Du's people would come and take away all the casino's revenue. Kangsik didn't get to enjoy even a single cent. The henchman's wages had been delayed for several months without payment, making them start to feel resentful toward Kangsik. On this side, Chairman Du was called to the office by Old Han. He thought he would always be his effective right hand, but to his surprise, today the old man called him in to force him to hand over the casino manager position to Boss Wang. Chairman Du felt like he had been betrayed, and he couldn't just sit there and wait to die. So he ordered Secretary Nam to quickly go find some evidence that could give him leverage over Old Han. Kangsik still didn't know the news that the casino had changed hands. When he returned to his seat, he saw Boss Wang sitting there grandly, looking at him with a smile. He only panicked for 3 seconds, then hurried over to bow his head. No one told him what was happening, but he understood that if it was something the boss wanted, he couldn't fight for it. On the other hand, Secretary Nam very quickly brought the information he had investigated back to tell Chairman Du. Years ago, South Korean and North Korean agents fought over a USB that stored evidence of a South Korean spy's betrayal. Chairman Du reasoned that the South Korean agent was Jung, and the North Korean spy was Bong with amnesia. They were both targeting Old Han. In that case, the South Korean spy was none other than Old Han. This was indeed his fatal weakness. Chairman Du was excited and decided to join the race to track down the USB, returning to the trio Kong, Magong, and Bong. After seeing Magong open the cabinet and take out the signal detector, Bong felt the time had come to show his hand. So he took the initiative to cook chicken soup for the other two to eat. The two of them didn't think twice and slurped it down quickly, eating while praising the firm, crispy chicken and the sweet, delicious soup. Just 5 minutes later, they suddenly felt their heads spinning and their vision getting blurry. At this moment, Bong also threw away his usual gentle face. As soon as the other two collapsed, Bong took the signal detector and drove away. The assassins on the side of the road took the chance to follow him. Not knowing how much time had passed, Kong and his younger bro finally woke up. Only then did they painfully realize that all this time, they were the idiots being played. Now without a car, how could they chase after him? Heaven seemed to hear their prayers, so it sent a car right away. By now, Bong was on the hill, but when he turned on the signal detector, he found it was just a toy. Suddenly, Jung and the other two appeared behind his back. In Jung's hand, he held the real-deal detector. The machine Bong held had a tracker, so Jung knew how to drive there. Bong's act was over. Jung said that from the moment he saw the tracking chip tossed at the hospital, he suspected Bong had recovered his memory. So he put cameras everywhere in the secret base and then left Bong alone inside. Every move Bong made searching for things was seen by Jung. At this time, Jung suddenly suggested cooperating with Bong. When they get the USB, Jung's side only needs the evidence of Old Han's crimes. As for the old man's slush fund, Jung would let Bong take it all. Sound good? Just as Bong was hesitating, 3 assassins popped out of nowhere, also wanting to join the search for the USB. Now Bong has 2 choices. One is to fight alone, and the other is to cooperate with Jung's group of 3. After thinking long and hard, Dae-sun finally started the fight and wiped out Chairman Du's lackeys in a heartbeat. Right after cleaning up the scene, the phone rang. On the screen, the name Hamung popped up, making Chairman Du freak out immediately. He scrambled to tell his assistant to completely delete all call history and messages between them to cover his tracks. The henchmen with him were curious seeing this, crowding around to grill him on why their old boss suddenly did a 180 and teamed up with the Heaven Capital crew. In the middle of the mess, Chairman Du brushed them off, saying he already had a splitting headache and strictly forbade anyone from asking another question to complicate things. It turns out the item lost for a decade was actually hidden super cleverly inside a Barbie doll's head. What Hamong needed was the USB containing evidence to put Juk behind bars. By the way, inside was also the pearl that Dae-sun was desperately hunting for. But Hamong was really sharp. He was afraid the other guy would take the pearl and pull a disappearing act, so he decided to keep the item as a hostage, saying they'd split the loot only after the job was done. The whole crew had to head back to the base to see what shocking secrets that USB held. The problem was, this USB was locked with a password that was a whole 13 characters long. The IT guy, Gongbok, took the job to crack it but warned up front that this case was tricky and would take quite a bit of time. Somehow, while he was messing around with it, the system pinged straight to North Korea. On the other side, the agent caught the signal and quickly reported to his boss that they had traced the signal on the island and asked for permission to pack up and go bag the target right away. Meanwhile, the old fox Juk was acting all smug, confidently patting his chest that the mayor's seat was definitely his since he was the only candidate. He even plotted to completely clear the island using violence. Anyone who protested or fought back would be made to disappear without a trace. While he was daydreaming, his henchmen ran in to report that the North Korean side had caught wind of the lost item's location. Hearing that, Juk was thrilled and ordered an emergency meeting of top-tier gangsters for tomorrow to gear up and scheme. Back to the good guys, since the old hideout was exposed, the whole crew had to move house to change their luck. At the new place, the young guy Gongbok was glued to his keyboard again. He could still hack it, but it was a real struggle because, as Dae-sun had reviewed earlier, this app was coded by the sharpest minds in North Korea. On the other hand, Oren received a storm of messages saying the islanders were getting ready to rise up. No one could stomach the evil Juk becoming mayor, so the people decided to set up a protest to ambush him as soon as he stepped foot on the island in 3 days. Oren tried her best to advise people to hold back, but the situation right now was like a pressure cooker. The people were letting it go in one ear and out the other, determined to go all out and fight to the bitter end. Sticking right to the schedule, Juk gathered all his top officials and the North Korean agent. He threw out a stack of photos of the troublemakers and gave an ultimatum to immediately send this bunch of people to meet their maker. He also threatened that if they didn't get the 10-year-old item back, his henchmen's lives wouldn't be safe either. Basically, he forced them to wrap up the KPIs smoothly at any cost. However, right after the meeting, Chairman Du sneakily pulled Boss Hwang into a quiet corner to whisper about some major schemes. There was no way this shady move could slip past the eagle eyes of the North Korean agent. He sent his guys to tail them and eavesdrop all the way to their hotel. Turns out, Chairman Du was tempting Boss Hwang to stab Juk in the back. Conveniently enough, Boss Hwang had been holding a grudge against Juk for ages. He was just playing the good little sheep while waiting for the day to bite his boss back. At this time, Oren also picked up the phone to give Hamong an update on the battle plan, telling him how the islanders were getting ready to riot in 3 days. Hearing that, Hamong stepped up like the man of the house, calming his wife down and strictly telling her not to join the protests so he could handle all the mess out there. After hearing that, the wife didn't forget to subtly drop a hint that their little boy at home was missing his dad. Back to the hacking job, Gongbok software just kept spinning and wouldn't finish, making the whole team lose their vibe and feel completely lost. Right at that moment, Bumrong got news that his old boss had been released and was calling him over for a chat. He dragged Gongbok along to meet the boss, but who would have thought the old fox had already done his digging and caught on to the fact that the two were secretly working with Hamong. He didn't even care to hold a grudge about the betrayal. He just laid his cards on the table, setting his one and only condition. He wanted that 10-year-old lost item back. If they refused, he would treat it as real treason and take them both out. Feeling the heavy pressure, the two guys hurried back to meet Hamong to talk it over. As soon as he heard Hwang wanted a piece of the action, Hamong shut it right down, wondering how these two could be so naive to trust that backstabbing boss so easily. Dae-sun, standing nearby, also broke it down, saying Boss Hwang was definitely just thirsty for that item. Once he got what he wanted, he would totally throw them all under the bus. But somehow, both Gongbok and Bumrong were completely brainwashed and blindly defended their old boss, swearing that he would never be the type of guy to backstab anyone like that. Seeing these two acting so stubborn and hard-headed, Hamong got super annoyed and kicked them out, telling them if they kept that mindset, they might as well pack up and go back to running their convenience store. Deeply hurt, Bumrong threw a fit, angrily announcing he was out of the project, and stormed off right then and there. Gongbok rushed after him to hold him back, but Bumrong shoved him away, refusing to listen and saying he needed some quiet space to think things through. While our team was having all this inner drama, the North Korean guys had already tracked down Deezen's house. Finding a photo of Nami, they immediately came up with a dirty trick to use the kid as bait. They got his number and called Nami with a BS story that the house had a gas leak and was about to blow up. Being young and naive, Nami panicked and bought the lie completely. He quickly excused himself from the ladies at the dance club and ran for his life back home to check, without a single second thought. As for Hamung, he took a quick moment to drop by and visit his precious son. The little guy was pouting because his dad had been away for way too long. Hamung hugged and comforted his kid, making all sorts of promises that once this deal was sealed, he would stay home full-time to take care of him. After listening to his dad gently whisper and explain the situation for a while, the sensible boy nodded obediently in understanding. When night fell, Officer Park was cruising past the convenience store and saw the lights were still bright. Peeking in out of curiosity, she caught Bumrong sitting there, hugging his knees and looking totally down. Just like the usual script, she sidled up to him to ask for some snacks. The store had been closed and gathering dust, so Bumrong could only dig out a few packets of instant noodles. In the middle of this noodle-eating scene, Park suddenly opened up for a little chat about the past. She gently expressed that everyone has the right to change, so she didn't care at all about his past label as a notorious gang boss. To her, everyone deserves a chance to restart their life, and she really hoped Bumrong would be someone who successfully turns over a new leaf. On another front that was as tense as a piano wire, Dae-sun received shocking news from his old NK boss that Nami had been kidnapped as a hostage. Backed into a corner, he had no choice but to steal that 10-year-old lost item to use as a trade for the hostage. Dae-sun went to the meeting spot all by himself, not knowing he was walking right into a trap, because those guys had already planned to swallow the item whole and then conveniently send both the uncle and nephew to meet their maker. As soon as he arrived, Dae-sun obediently handed over the item. The NK boss thought it was an easy win and started lifting his chin, sarcastically mocking him for losing his mind lately, getting tricked into a trap and still looking completely clueless. Right at the peak of his excitement, Dae-sun threw a bucket of cold water on him, calmly firing back to ask if he had carefully checked whether the goods he just received were real or fake before running his mouth so early. Hit right in the ego, the furious boss yelled for his henchmen to rush in and hack the guy to pieces. Outnumbered and all alone, Dae-sun quickly took a beating and fell onto the losing side. But right when he was hanging by a thread, his savior Hamung kicked the door in to save the day. It turns out the script had already been flipped beforehand. Hamung had already smelled something fishy when he caught Dae-sun red-handed sneaking to steal the item. After pressing him for answers and hearing his buddy explain the situation, he decided to tag along as backup, while also accurately calling it that this was definitely a trap by them to do their dirty work. Back to the present, everything played out exactly as he predicted. Standing in front of the aggressive North Korean henchman, Hamung loudly declared that he wasn't afraid of anyone, and conveniently swore to crush old Juk and his whole crew of trashy followers. Dae-sun rolls up his sleeves and beats the living daylights out of his old boss, taking an absolute landslide victory, of course. Just as he's getting fired up, the cops crash the party, forcing the old boss to make a run for it. But thanks to Homung's quick thinking, Gongbuk was already tipped off to tail the guy and see what he was plotting. After saving Nam-I, Dae-sun has to go save the world, so he leaves his golden boy in the care of his crew. Before dipping, he makes sure they tell Nam-I not to sweat it, he's a tough guy who can hold his own. With that sorted out, our guy heads back to home base. The squad is officially fully assembled when Gongbuk arrives, but the real plot twist is Byum Ryong pulling a 180. He announces that after some serious soul-searching, he's decided to stick around and play the hero, while the crew puts their heads together to plan their next move. Over on the flip side, Prosecutor Kong is still being doggedly tailed by her ex-boss's detective lapdogs. Too bad for those goons. Someone had already slashed their tires a while ago. And guess who pulls up as Prosecutor Kang's getaway driver? Our very own Sung-won. He escorts her to rendezvous with Homung's crew. Looking sharp and dressed to kill, the team lays out the master plan for her to grasp. The key to taking down Dae-sun's old boss? Weaponizing the media. Catching on immediately, Prosecutor Kong suggests tapping a YouTuber with a 1 million subscriber channel to make the story go viral. Homung nods in approval and greenlights the idea on the spot. With the plan locked in, Dae-sun and Prosecutor Kong finally take a moment to sort out their messy feelings. The confession itself is a bit clunky and cheesy, but they make up for it by sealing the deal with a steamy make-out session. You got a feel for Sung-won, though, who's just standing right there, forced to be the ultimate third wheel to this high-definition PDA. Kissing over, the badass prosecutor swings by the dance club to rally the boys for Sung-won's master plan. The whole squad rolls out to the target drop. Meanwhile, Gongbuk calls in, saying he's pinpointed the hideout of the 2 creep detectives who were tailing her. Wasting no time, Prosecutor Kong and Sung-won pull a classic bait and switch, successfully luring the detectives straight into a North Korean gangster den. To infiltrate the place, Sung-won disguises himself as a janitor, knocks on the door, and feeds them some BS about a plumbing issue, promising to fix their toilet in 3 minutes flat. The clueless gangsters fall for it hook, line, and sinker, basically inviting disaster right through their front door. Right on cue, Prosecutor Kong arrives with her backup squad of detectives. But before anyone can even throw a punch, a whole swarm of cops suddenly surrounds the place. Apparently, someone called in a fake tip saying they needed backup to bust some criminals. Like, wait a minute. Who even called the cops? In another corner, our YouTuber guy is all set up. His channel had been flopping hard lately, but thanks to this top-tier, sensational livestream falling right into his lap, his views are skyrocketing and he's raking in that sweet ad revenue. Hearing the commotion, Officer Park takes the opportunity to rile up the neighborhood, getting everyone out to watch the drama unfold. The gangsters look down from the second floor, see a literal sea of cops, and instantly know they're totally screwed. Finally, Sung-won lays his cards on the table, tells them they've walked right into a trap, and bluffs about blowing the place to kingdom come. The goons are terrified and immediately throw their hands up to be cuffed. The heist goes off without a hitch. The gangsters are tossed behind bars. The YouTuber hits the jackpot, and he even casually exposes the dirty detective's true faces to the internet. Prosecutor Kong texts that the coast is clear, and a smug Ho-mung gives the green light for Phase 2. The next day, Han Ji-wook is out there enthusiastically running his election campaign. Even though he just got hit with the bombshell that Chairman Do and Boss Hwang backstabbed him, and his gangster henchmen vanished without a trace, he's still putting on a masterclass in acting, flashing an angelic smile to the voters. Right in the middle of his performance, Ho-mung rolls up to crash the party. He tells the guy straight to his face that his days are numbered and all his dirty laundry is about to be aired out. When Ji-wook tries to play it off like he doesn't believe him, Ho-mung just smirks and politely suggests he check the internet to see how wildly his name is trending. When Ji-wook steps back up to the podium, he notices the crowd throwing absolute daggers at him. He checks the TV and panics when he sees Prosecutor Kong hosting a live press conference. She's spilling all the tea, dropping the gangster's confessions, and exposing the massive laundry list of crimes committed by him and his partners in crime, Do and Hwang. Meanwhile, Chairman Do and Boss Hwang are scrambling, frantically trying to steal back a crucial item from Ho-mung. Backed into a corner, Ji-wook forces Prosecutor Kang's boss to step in, deal with her, and shut down the media circus. The old boss tries to push back at first, but Ji-wook immediately pulls out a stack of blackmail photos showing the guy fooling around with girls young enough to be his granddaughters. Terrified of getting cancelled and having his scandal leaked, the boss tucks his tail between his legs and goes to clean up Ji-wook's mess. At the same time, the Do and Hwang duo sniff out Ho-mung's meetup spot to demand their stuff back. Boss Hwang is absolutely shook when he realizes his former goons, Bim Ryong and Gong Buk, are dead set against going back to the dark side. Even though he brought a massive squad, Chairman Do is secretly a huge coward, so he tries to weasel his way out by playing peacemaker. He tries to sweet-talk Ho-mung into handing over the item, promising that they can team up to take down Han Ji-wook since they share a common enemy anyway. Right on cue, Ji-wook shows up. Turns out he's terrified too. Even though he knows they backstabbed him, he has the audacity to ask Do and Hwang to join forces again and jump Ho-mung's crew, promising them a fat slice of the pie. Seeing this pathetic display, Ho-mung just drops a friendly reminder to the duo. Don't be stupid enough to trust a piece of trash. But tough luck, Chairman Do and Boss Hwang actually fall for it hook, line, and sinker. Just like that, the three gangs team up to jump Ho-mung's crew. Team Ho-mung originally planned to bounce, but with their backs against the wall, they have no choice but to turn around and throw down. Meanwhile, Prosecutor Kong gets called into the hot seat by her higher-ups and some bigwig politicians. They try to intimidate her, threatening to expose her for colluding with fugitives and thugs. Not even batting an eye, she fires right back, telling them they better confess before they get kicked to the curb. When the bozos double down on their stubbornness, she drags out the two detectives as star witnesses, totally exposing her boss's true colors. Back at the battle royale, both sides are beating the living daylights out of each other. In a stroke of bad luck, Gong Buk catches a knife, which absolutely breaks Bim Ryong's heart. The squad tries to fight their way out while retreating, but the goons are hot on their trail. Running out of options, Sun, Bim Ryong, and Ho-mung brace themselves for a bloody last stand. Out of nowhere, the boss of Paradise rolls up with his little bro and a squad of beefy bodyguards. Annoyed by Chairman Do's loudmouth energy, the Paradise boss orders his guys to charge in and pummel Do first, just for the satisfaction of it. Taking full advantage of the utter chaos, Bim Ryong's crew hightails it out of there. Team Paradise mops the floor with the guys left behind and splits up to hunt down the rest. But talk about out of the frying pan and into the fire, Ho-mung's crew barely escapes before bumping straight into the final boss trio, Ji-wook, Do, and Hwang. Ji-wook catches sight of the Paradise boss and lets out a menacing roar. The Paradise boss instantly chickens out, and his whole squad nopes right out of there. Ji-wook corners Ho-mung, demanding he hand over the USB and the relic from 10 years ago. Ho-mung complies and forks them over. The second Ji-wook gets his hands on the prize, he ruthlessly gifts Ho-mung a bullet straight to the chest before the trio makes a run for it. Ho-mung's crew goes into full panic mode, terrified he isn't going to make it. By the time Prosecutor Kong finally rushes to the scene, the bad guys are already long gone. But thank God Ho Meng is always one step ahead. He'd secretly slapped on a Kevlar vest. So he's still breathing, though taking a bullet to the chest definitely still hurts like hell. Seeing their fearless leader get back on his feet, the whole crew lets out a massive sigh of relief and rolls out together. Later that night, a giddy GY Wook plugs the USB into his computer to check out his loot. But surprise, surprise, there are 0 top-secret files on that drive, just a bunch of his son's Kamen Rider superhero videos. GY Wook absolutely loses his mind, furious that a guy who prides himself on being so meticulous just got played like a damn fiddle. In the end, Han GY Wook and his entire posse get busted, and all their dirty deeds are dragged into the light, even though the actual contents of the real USB are never revealed. As for Ho Meng's crew, his restaurant is bustling with customers again, and everyone's glowing, living their best lives like one big, happy family. The dance club has officially gone legit, dropping its shady underworld vibes to become a regular hangout spot. Everyone's living the dream. The son and the boys are thriving, and Prosecutor Kong has finally found her peace. And, of course, the BM Ryong and Officer Park ship has officially set sail. The two of them decide to keep running the convenience store together with Gongbuk. It's a super satisfying happily ever after for the good guys, while the criminals get exactly what they deserve. Thanks for tuning into this movie recap series. Guys, catch you in the next video. Peace out.